We are
So
live.
is this starting soon?
Yeah,
Isn't Zane?
We're live right now.
We just went live.
Isn't the birthday boy supposed to be?
Just the birthday boy.
Me. Yo, start this without me. I'm gonna be late.
Hurrah.
So
Okay, guys, ready? Ready for this fascist dog whistle?
Die
Right?
challenge.
So true.
Guys, I found out yesterday that milk can be used as a dog whistle. I hate
Guys,
society.
it's such a dog whistle. Oh, hold on. Do we have anyone in the chat? We gotta entertain them. So how about all these leftists getting canceled?
it's so base. It's so base.
Dan,
Yes!
Dan,
W.
Only
Let's
dubs.
Dan, do you know why Frankie left the chat?
Probably
Because she doesn't want to be. I am quoting you. She doesn't want to be associated with us. Associated.
Wait, she said that to you?
Yeah, I added her back, and I was like, you understand that there's no coming back from being canceled, especially on leftist TikTok. Like, you don't return from that. That's not something that happens. It's just sad that
That's hilarious.
she thinks that they'll let her back in.
I downloaded Twitter and immediately wanted to kill myself.
Baker Elkins has entered the waiting room.
Yes,
Who?
let him in.
Hey, Baker.
Hey, mamas.
Oh,
Hello.
I got Twitter and it's like, ah, all the lefties.
Oh.
I've just been-
For Zane. The Zane isn't here.
Yeah.
I literally have been avoiding anything on Twitter today,
Bro.
and I've just been avoiding TikTok the
Fuck
whole
this
day.
app. Political TikTok is fucking terrible. I'm gone after this month.
So many of my mutuals just decided to leave. They were like, never mind, I'm out.
Actually, fuck this.
Did you see this? I screen recorded some of this video, but did you see this girl's video?
I have not.
Okay, she literally posted this, and it's still there,
Oh my god.
Huh.
except she privated her account. And did you see Lance Video's phone number got leaked too?
It did? Yo,
Yeah.
Right now. Yo, I'm gonna call him right now.
Put him on speaker.
Wait,
Do you want me to send? I don't feel comfortable sending it or showing it.
You already
Like I
showed
just
it,
did.
bruh. Why don't you just go back and pause it?
I just sent it to you. That was the one that was posted.
Is this in grid view, Alex?
Yeah, right now.
Okay, sounds good. Just making sure.
All right. You know they can see the chat, right?
Wait, are they in the chat talking?
No. Like, the viewers can see the chat.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I messaged you. I messaged him privately. Dan,
Are they our
this
chat?
is good advice for all of us.
Bruh, I think that's a lie. I don't believe it now.
Made that mistake once or
Bro,
twice.
why is our playbacks at 16? Everyone's going back to see the shit. We have 14 viewers based.
Oh, so true. Hey guys, welcome to the stream for Zane's birthday.
The critique of the
Okay, ready.
every critique of the Isot is a critique of Hume, and that's it. It's like Hume
Guys,
doesn't know
I
what
think
he's talking
Finn
about.
is getting canceled. Yeah, Finn's getting canceled too. Wow,
Jeez.
what a shocker.
I feel
Here's to
bad.
all the leftists. They're literally blowing themselves up.
Bilva's in the chat. Hi, Bilva.
Libertarians out here just chilling while the leftists killing themselves.
People are asking where Zane is.
Bro,
yeah,
Zane?
Zane.
This dude Zane
Birthday
told us
boy
he'd
is
be late
coming.
to his
birthday party.
I told him I got you. And now this dude's like, all right, start the stream without me. I'm gonna be late.
So true. 16 people watching. Wow, it's crazy.
Why would
Okay.
you watch one of these streams?
Yeah, I don't know, we're really annoying. Yes, Bilva. The leftists are all getting taken down.
I feel bad for them. I do.
Bro,
Yeah,
Baker, they don't value property rights. Who the fuck cares?
I know.
I have a recurring joke, and it's minarchists be like, let me respectfully disrespect property rights.
So true.
No, guys, I promise it won't. The state won't get bigger this time. It'll work this time.
Bro, trust
Guys,
me,
I
the state
swear.
won't
Comes to
insert a high tax
work.
preference leading to a higher expropriation of property owners. Trust me, it just won't.
So true. So true. So
Or
true.
I love proposals for objective law systems. They make me so happy.
Bro,
It's
anarchists on the way to tell me that the Second Amendment isn't objective enough.
You know, oh boy, that was hilarious.
Bro,
I
China
love-
infringed, not objective enough.
So true, Ostro Hayek. So true. So true. I
So
agree
I
with
picked
that.
up a new book from my local Goodwill.
What is
It
it?
was next to a copy of 50 Shades Darker. It
Oh
is
God.
John Stewart.
John
Zane's
Stewart
here.
utilitarian philosophy. I'm about to. Oh,
I'm not gonna lie, John Mill is like a little difficult to understand. I started reading On Liberty and stopped.
mhm.
So Zane,
Yeah. There's a
Birthday
there
boy.
are
Birthday
things
kid.
here that I'm.
Hey, happy
Hello.
birthday!
Thank you.
Happy birthday to Zane.
Compbot says happy birthday as well.
Thank you, Compbot.
So true.
Drop a happy birthday in the chat if you're a real one.
Oh,
Yeah.
can I flex my John Stuart Mill on you guys? Like, so I actually have a really nice copy of his. So it's a leather bound like copy with gold pages, and it's got On Liberty, it's got utilitarianism, and what else does it have? It has.
Not gonna lie, utilitarianism was actually a pretty interesting book.
So it has introductory, it has On Liberty of thought and discussion. Okay, so On Liberty, considerations on representative government and utilitarianism. And it's got like the silk like front and end pages. It's leather bound. It's part of the Franklin Library's like 100 best books ever made collection.
You
So
can't
it's, like,
do that. You can't do that to me. I've got this little
like
paper.
it's like one of the nicest books I have.
Literally 4 people have owned this book before me.
Okay,
There
ready?
are-
This says.
Thank you to everybody
Compbot
saying
asks,
happy
where do I
thank you.
apply for voluntarist re-education camp?
We need to start a lecture series.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yo, Volunteers Haven lectures.
You know
Yeah,
how
so
cool that-
thank you to everybody saying happy birthday in chat. I appreciate it. I don't feel great right now. I've been drinking all day, so like I'm a little
Based?
off my game.
So. What was supposed to
My stomach was hurting, and we went to dinner, and we went to like hibachi, and I start like I'm eating my food, and it's like I really can't eat. Like every time I eat, like my stomach hurts, and then my sake comes out, and I got hot sake, and I drink like half of it, and then I just like I go, "Whoo," and like I don't know what it was because my stomach hurt. Like I almost threw up right there. It was so bad. Like I was like having to hold it in, and I sat there for like 20 seconds, like holding it in, and like it finally passed, but like I couldn't. It was bad.
Wow.
I think that's it is. I don't know. I don't like sake.
Compbot says he's been drinking all month.
Yo, base con.
Yeah, I've been drinking for the last 5 years. No,
I've never. Yeah.
I haven't been
Daniel
sober in 10 years.
97 rice purity score. Sitting over there like-
Purity.
Over there. Listen to this. It's bass. It's bass. There we go.
Who was it? Was Femwade Lily got like an 11 rice purity score, which is so funny to me because she is constantly preaching like traditional conservative family values.
Based?
Zane, did you go to the store and legally buy alcohol today?
I didn't actually. My brother bought me like a huge thing of Jaeger and a bunch of Fireball, and yeah, that was. Then we went. I got some obviously while we were out at dinner, but
I had some lamb
I haven't
chops
gone and
tonight.
like bought any.
I had some lamb for dinner tonight with some Chardonnay.
Nice.
That
Sorry,
sounds
guys. So-
stellar. I had a
It
prime
was.
rib. I had a prime
Stellar.
rib.
Parents made some scallops with it. Oh my gosh.
I'm a little iffy on scallops. If you don't cook them right,
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
well,
not
they're
about
disgusting.
well, it's not about cooking them right. It's if they're frozen. Frozen scallops are so bad. This is coming from somebody who worked at a seafood restaurant for like 3 years, so trust me.
yeah.
Yeah, you have to cook scallops perfectly for them to be good. And you have to be nice and fresh.
How do I take stickers off of a book? Why would anybody do this?
Which
You need my tips, Zane? Put those fingernail fireballs in a good cider. Oh, I drank an entire bottle of champagne this morning.
Jesus Christ.
This morning.
Why you
I woke up
Oh.
and I had like mimosas, and then I just like finished the bottle of champagne.
You
Coda
are
got
living.
for my birthday. Coda got some treats and a toy. When we get more people in here, we'll play some games or something. Who knows?
Zane, what are your thoughts on this birthday gift that you've been given today of all the leftists getting
Dude,
canceled?
what an interesting gift, I must say.
It's
Oh, by the way,
Some-
I want to start this stream out by saying, if you cancel people for saying retard, you're retarded.
Base?
So true. So true.
And you can clip that, you can post it, you can cancel me for it. I don't care.
Simple. You can't get canceled if you don't care. Optics.
I think that it's just such a self-consuming cycle to cancel people that are like that say something slightly inoptical. In the case of Jovi, never mind, because that was several repeated offenses, but it's so self-consuming to constantly like just whittle down this group of pseudo intellectuals even further.
Yeah, and the one about Ava, like she did that months ago, and I'm pretty sure it had already been like she had already been like outed for that. You know what I mean? I'd cancel Zane, you become uncancelable on your birthday. Yeah, so true.
No, I just think it honestly was a gift from the stars that on your
It really
birthday.
was. It really was. It was like 2 a.m, and I'm seeing all this unfold right as I turned 21, and I'm like,
Base.
if there is a God, if there is a God, he is looking favorably upon me right now.
That's so true. It's like all these leftists doing dumb stuff. They cancel it. So some of the people got canceled for like nothing.
Yeah. Can't cancel somebody who doesn't care. Big
Yeah.
facts, brother.
Truth over optics.
Oh boy.
Like 20 viewers.
I'm gonna be honest. I was thinking about canceling this and just going to sleep because my stomach hurts, and I was like, I could pass out right now and I'd sleep for a day and a half. Pan wants the Zoom link. Somebody send it to Pan before he starts crying.
Oh, we can't send links on the. What's going on with Instagram?
Just send him
I
the
can't
code. Just send him
links.
the code.
It's because of new European rules. So since there's a European or a group chat, you're allowed to send links or reply to messages with Europeans in chats.
I've been in so many
Why?
group
If
chats
you're
where
watching this, go fuck
purged
yourself.
them. We've just like purged.
Okay, we're kicking Craig out of the chat, so.
So true.
Well, if we call him English enough times, he'll just leave.
Dude, my throat hurts. I've already thrown up twice today.
God.
Just got to keep rallying through.
So true. Zane, who was supposed to join this?
Zach is liking my videos. Like,
Tommy's joining. Corvated's joining. ZC55's joining. Beaky was supposed to come,
I
and
told
then
Paige
just
to do
like,
something with her family, and ZC55 told me he's gonna join in a bit.
and then
Okay, can we talk about
and
the
then
tattoo?
just like the voluntary Taven's guy. What tattoo?
no.
C55 got a tattoo.
No.
Wait, is he 18?
I believe so.
You said.
Oh. What'd he get?
It is a it is the cross, and draped over the cross is the stars and stripes. It's
He's calling
obscene
himself a
to-
Hoppian now.
Yeah, I ANCAP pilled him, and then I think he just became a Hoppian after that.
I love the guy. He's honestly like he's so nice.
Yeah, he is.
He had some when he was a Trump supporter. That was prime time, funniest
wants the
top
code.
10
Who?
funniest moment.
Bilva.
Invite Frankie.
Send it to him. Get Bill- send it to
Yo,
Frank.
John. John said
love to
somebody.
see the
So
throwdown.
primitive communist said that you had some information and you were gonna cancel. A bunch of
Oh
right-wingers.
yeah. Because I said that. I said, well, one time I mentioned that lib right in itself is there are some very inoptical people, and basically he's like, tell me who. I'm like, I don't really care. Like, first of all, no one cares if you get leaked
Okay,
of
so
saying
here's
something.
the thing: lib-right is unoptical, but lib-right doesn't care.
Yeah,
I'm
that's what
openly
I'm saying.
unoptical. Yo,
I
chat,
try
tell
to
me
be.
tell me what to say, and I'll say it right now.
As long as you're on your own private property, I
Yep.
don't really mind.
Yeah. So true, Baker.
Listen, here's the way I see it. If I'm
Oh,
if
nice.
I'm in if I like so John's gay, right? I make fun of John for being gay all the time. I'm friends
And
with John.
I don't mind.
and he's
I'm
he's
really-
okay with it. Now, if I didn't know John, he was some random homo. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. If he was just some rando, obviously I'm not gonna be mean to him. But we're friends, right? I said this the other day, and I was like,
It's hilarious. I'm
So,
gonna be 10,000%
girls-
honest with you.
girls
I think
are-
it's
girl-
funny.
girls are kind of weird because it's like you'll say there's like two white girls, like say it's a friend group, right? There's like two white girls, two black girls, and like an Asian girl, right? And a Hispanic girl, and they won't like make fun of each other at all, right? You get two white guys, two black guys, and an Asian guy who are all like really good friends. And like the whole time they're together, they'll be like as racist as possible to each other. And it's just like nobody cares. Like it's almost like a bonding thing. But it's like I find that funny. Just like little differences I noticed between like how like men and women act around each other.
Zane,
It's the same. It's the same thing with like being fat. Like if my friend is putting on weight or something, and they come into my house and be like, "Yo, Tommy, you're putting on weight. Let's go hit the gym tomorrow." And they'll be like, "Yeah, you're right. Let's go." You'll never see women do that, dude.
Zane,
I
what,
think you're right that women are the ones propagating racism.
They are.
Like, it makes a lot of
True.
sense because, like, you're completely right. You know.
What were you gonna say, John?
This is a
what is your opinion on Kudwi's response or his critique of the Izak problem? Because I am so angry that they will never critique the actual problem. They just attack Hume, and that's it.
Yeah, I haven't looked at Cudby specifically, but if it's the standard objectivist critique, that's like, oh, you have to know what is to say what ought to be. Like Hume wouldn't disagree with that. Like, I mean, that's how Kant got around the Izot thing was with like hypothetical imperatives and stuff. You could say, oh, there is a spiky bush. I don't want to get spiked, so I should go around the spiky bush, right? But that's not necessarily a normative claim. You're just making a hypothetical imperative. I don't want to get shot, so I should avoid the active shooter in my school, right? But that's not a moral normative claim. So like the whole thing isn't necessarily like Hume would disagree with that, but that's not like what we're talking about when we're talking about normative claims.
Yeah.
So true.
No, there is no such thing as an appeal to Zane fallacy. If you're appealing to me, you're correct.
True. It's not a fallacy.
So
It's just an axiomatic statement appealing to Zane.
I think it was
Hey, mamas.
Dan. It was the same response that Alex gave, and it was like,
That was.
it was something about Hume didn't know anything about deontology, and it's like deontology wasn't even like a school.
Well, it
of
didn't
thought.
exist
Like,
yet. Like,
Yeah,
so,
I was like, it was like 100 years after Hume had died.
I don't think it was 100, but
It was a good amount of time, 50 years probably.
Marx failed to consider the subjective theory of value, man.
True.
Marx failed to consider everything, dude.
Marx
I
failed
found
to consider
I saw a
basic
really good
logic.
quote and I loved it. I loved it so much, and it said, "If you're reading Marx and you don't understand what he's saying, don't worry because he didn't either. And if you're reading Marx and you do understand what he's saying, don't worry because you're one step ahead of him."
Yeah. In Marx's defense, like subjective theory of value hadn't really been formulated yet, so like he's not.
No,
the only
that
Yes, it
economist
had.
that-
After he
Had it?
published after he published volume 1, the marginal revolution happened, and then obviously volumes 2 and 3 were published posthumously, but he had already there's like a lot of stuff about like speculating why like volumes 2 and 3 took him so long, and a lot of people think because like the marginal revolution happened after he published volume 1.
And like Manger's full like principles of economics book that like the STV was also like during Marx's later years, so and he wasn't like really like critiquing that stuff at that time.
Marx died.
Thank you,
Marx
yeah.
died.
Thank you, yeah.
He died in 86, but Principles of Economics came out in 1870.
He died in 80.
Yeah.
Well, so hold on. When did the marginal revolution? I'm telling you, it had like when.
It was 70s, wasn't it? Or was it 1870 or 1860s?
When did the marginal revolution start? Because it wasn't just Menger though. It was
No, yeah,
Jevons
wasn't-
and it was Menger, Jevons, and
And I know that the French liberal
the term
school
marginal revolution is usually taken to refer to the nearly simultaneous but completely independent discovery in the early 1870s by Jevons, Menger, and Walras of the principles of diminishing marginal utility as a fundamental building block of a new kind of static microeconomics. It constitutes, so the argument goes on, the best examples of multiple discoveries in the history of economic thought, which simply cry for the sort of historical explanation. Yeah, it happened in the early 1870s.
Yeah, so Marx can't be responsible for not knowing that. Wasn't a lot of his work posted in like the late 50s?
Like I said, his first book was already published before it happened, but Capital's volumes 2 and 3 were posted posthumously after he died, which was well after the marginal revolution had started and come about.
The French liberal school had a quasi-subjective theory of value, and I had some reading on that. I need to find it.
Dude, I need to find some Tylenol. My head is throbbing.
Get you some.
I have some actually. Oh boy. Y'all want some ASMR?
Yes.
Too many Tylenols if you've been drinking.
Just taking one because I know it thins your blood.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
It could
I'll be
honestly make
slamming
it.
those.
Yeah. Zane, did you see my milk review? I'm going to be reviewing milks because I've ran out of content ideas.
Actually, these are like really high strength ones. I'm gonna take some ibuprofen instead.
That's probably for the best. We don't want this to be Zane's last birthday stream.
Oh my god, I'm not gonna die because
Oh,
I took
no.
Tylenol. Shut up.
I'm
Oh,
kidding,
no.
I'm kidding.
No.
Marginalist theories of value more like cringe. Shut up, Abistro.
I mean, he's not wrong. What, you believe in marginal theories of value?
Nah, I actually
More
don't.
like
I believe in
cringe.
I don't know. I believe all values stem from me.
Yeah.
I determine the value of every commodity produced.
I hadn't heard that, but good to know.
Yes, marginalist theories of value more like cringe. Hasib, what are you talking about? That is the worst take you've had so far.
Wait, Sockdem's acknowledged marginal. What are you talking about, Hadis? Like, if you're Sockdem,
This stream is brought to you by ibuprofen.
I wish you could get an ibuprofen sponsorship. Like,
Oh,
holy
so
shit.
true. Y'all want to get sponsored by Tuners Guild? If you've got over 10K, I'll sponsor you.
Yo, I only need 9K more. I'm almost there.
Yo, Dan has double that. Yo,
I'm
want Dan's
already
account
there. I
sponsor
mean,
me.
like, that doesn't sound half bad.
Cancellation of all leftists brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends.
Cancel. All of the leftists
So
have been
true.
not PKs, not necessarily. Some of them subscribe to reformations of the LTV. That is disgusting.
Are you sure? That's so dumb.
Keynes was freakishly tall. I just learned
Yeah,
about
like
that.
6'7".
That's all.
Very
He
tall.
was?
Yes.
Man,
Holy
wasn't
shit,
just-
6'7".
No wonder Keynesianism beat Austrianism. Holy shit.
man wasn't just breaking windows. He was breaking backboards.
Rothbard v.
Like, he's
Keynes
the only
basketball.
candidate right now.
I want to see
So true,
Rothbard v.
so true.
Keynes.
What
actually.
Zane? What if you committed a felony on camera for the lulz? I've actually done that multiple times in Zoom calls, not realizing
Yo,
that they were
Slater's
like
here, dude.
that they were
Wait,
like
A little felony in my closet.
Little felony.
I mean, okay,
Hey,
but
mama.
so the only things I could
Hey.
commit on camera were things that would get me rated by
Oh,
the
God,
ATF. So I'm not
Baker.
gonna do that.
Hiding in my closet.
All my homies.
Mans was playing with the wrong bucks. So true. He was really he really was playing with the wrong bucks because he was a
He
moron.
was breaking the wrong windows.
Should have been playing basketball. He was breaking the wrong windows. Yeah, Keynes was worried about the wrong interests. Yo, what's up, Compot? Oh boy. Hey, Slater.
He was stimulating the wrong demand.
Dude, he was stimulating my demand.
Yeah.
Yo, Corvada, why haven't you said anything, dog? Also, nice spike profile picture.
Can you hear me?
Slater, we can't hear you, dude. Your mic's not working.
Corvada, I heard you just
There
now,
you
but it's
go.
quiet.
That's a
Alright, what's up?
Oh, I said happy birthday, Alex.
Happy birthday, Alex.
Yeah, Zane's birthday was yesterday. I don't know why we didn't do the stream then.
Very true.
Yeah.
Oh, my son is here.
Oh, so true, Slater.
Here's Zane.
Abolish the bank for international settlements. What's up, homies? Tree, why haven't you joined? We were talking about Tree, join. We were talking about the objectivist critique of the Izzat.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
This is a very gender diverse group. That is very true, Combat.
I'll have you know, Con, half of us do not identify.
Zane, do you like Mexican people? I can't say that I do.
Why
So
can't
true.
you?
Why not say?
I can't
Because
make
I
an
don't-
absolute determination on a group of people.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Maybe.
Well,
I mean,
Listen. Everybody is a person, and they should not be judged by the color of their skin.
however,
However,
However.
Over.
So Zane, you said you wanted to do some games at some point.
yeah, maybe. Who knows? We might.
At some point.
I'm curious. What people in the stream, like, which one of you guys live in like freer states? I mean, okay.
I live in one of the most highly taxed states in the
I
country.
mean, I live in South Carolina, so I'm okay.
You're in South
Texas.
My
That's
state
also-
has
I'm
some
going there.
freedoms,
Yeah.
luckily.
Are you near Green?
Country, bro.
Zane, are you near Greenville?
Nah, not particularly. I'm like 3-4 hours away.
Dan.
So true.
My dad lives in Greenville.
It's so true.
It's a utilitarian argument, then I don't want to hear it.
I want to hear it.
Shut up.
Shut up.
Manly.
No, wait, that's.
word again. Con and I live.
I want to hear Tree's
10 miles
solution to
away.
the is odd problem in utilitarianism.
That's not trees, it's compots.
Oh, then I don't care. Sorry, I thought someone smart was talking.
Mm.
Damn.
No.
Shots fired.
Nah, I'm in North Myrtle Beach, Baker.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
I'm gonna still hold the New Hampshire as the freest state.
Canada's pretty based though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah?
Is it though? It's not really. Let's be honest.
Why?
Like,
In New
Oh, are you from
York.
Canada?
No, I'm just asking how is Canada based?
Oh, okay.
No, I'm
Wet
from
dreams,
Texas.
I don't know, it's
tomatoes.
not, but like, I don't know. Yeah, Canada sucks. Point for point.
Well,
Yeah.
Serbian
Like-
voluntarist lives there, so
Yeah.
Alex, do you live near like the American border at all?
Really close. The
I live near the
hour
American
and a
border.
half to get into the States.
I'm less
Hmm.
than an hour away from the.
Yaya has asked me to share birthday stories. I'm gonna be honest with you, Yaya. I don't have any birthday stories. I've never had any. I've not had an eventful birthday ever.
So
Oh.
Zane, you're supposed to make those up. Like no one's gonna double check you. It's your birthday. Like our
Yeah.
bullshit sensors are gonna be at the lowest.
I know, but I'm really bad at
You
like
can tell us
faking
anything
stories.
you want.
I mean, I could tell you a story that happened not on my birthday and pretend that it happened on my birthday.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Well, now I gotta think of an
I
interesting
don't
story.
know, man. Yeah. Shouldn't put all the pressure on Zane.
Poor Zane.
did your
Um,
time you killed that person?
oh yeah. Oh, dude, I did.
You did
Which
run
time?
somebody over.
I did actually kill that one guy.
Yeah, that one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the one.
Just
Just
the
the
one.
one.
Oh, dude. So I when I was in college, I threw a Halloween party, and this guy, I was on my back patio because I had like a townhouse, and it had like out the back door, it had like a little concrete pad out like going into like the woods, I guess you could say, like out back, and this guy, I was like really messed up, and this guy comes out and he's messing with me, but I don't realize he's messing with me, and he pulls up his shirt and like shows me a gun and goes, "Hey yo, such and such was just talking like mad shit to me. He's like, I'm gonna have to deal with him." And he like shows me the gun, like and I was so like messed up. I didn't realize it was like I thought he was being serious, so I said, "Hey man, do what you gotta do. I'll help you clean it up." He was like, "Are you sure?"
What the hell?
And he goes, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, do what you gotta do." I was just like, and then he goes back inside, and then it hits me, and like my stomach sinks, and I'm like, did I just tell somebody that they could murder somebody else at my house? At a party with a bunch of like 19-year-olds, and luckily, obviously, he was joking, and it was a fake gun, and I realized that later. But like in the moment, I was like, yeah, man, do what you gotta do. I'll help you clean it up.
I mean, that's just being a good party host. I don't know.
So true. You can kill anybody you want in my house.
Except,
Dude,
for,
that
except for you. of
That
course.
neighborhood I lived in though was ghetto. I was there for 9 months, and there were 3 shootings while I lived there in 9
And
months.
they were all yours. They were all
Well, terrorist attack. Terrorist attack.
How did
They
you
were-
even get in that situation?
Well, everywhere he goes.
I just
Violence
everywhere I go,
follows.
the situations just follow me. Yeah, the one that was closest to me, so like it was a small like townhouse complex. The closest one to me was the townhouse not next to mine, but the one next to that one got shot up. And apparently, what happened allegedly is these people were trying to prank their friend by shooting his window with an airsoft AR. Well, apparently they had a real AR. And shot through his window like 4 times. I wake up in the middle of the night to this. I grab my gun and I look out my window just to see like this car like skirting off. And I'm like, oh my God.
So I live in a pretty not so nice area. So sometimes there's like gunshots, and the police don't come through here really that often. Christmas morning, I hear a big boom, and it sounded like thunder, and I was like, "Huh, I didn't know it was raining." So I get up and I get on my phone. Turns out there was a terrorist attack, like less than a mile
Oh,
away from
yeah.
my home. I mean, there was a whole ass bomb went off.
That was me. Sorry.
Yeah,
So true.
that was my boy Kaczynski. My bad.
Zane, Zane,
Oh, this Amprem.
What's up?
Zane, did you see this girl on your? Have you seen this video?
No, I haven't. She looks cute though. She has pretty eyes.
She has a black sun hat on. Are you just looking at?
What's a black sun?
Nazi symbol.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's,
Based?
I mean,
It's
to
like
be
a
Bella
honest,
got
Dutchess
excited
carrot
right
fascist.
there.
It's like an
Yeah, that's my
esoteric
kind of
fascism
woman.
thing.
That's my kind of woman.
It's
Let's be
hella
honest.
aesthetic.
All the hottest women are fascists.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, they're
to be
leftists.
honest, the black sun is hella aesthetic. Like, you gotta put
All
some
right.
respect.
Come on.
I'm not gonna question y'all's taste, but
What's another story I could tell? Oh, when I was actually preparing for that party, we were getting me and my friend Reese. I have a video of this. It's on my Instagram actually. We were taking like the keg inside, and we just hear zzz, zzz, zzz outside, and we turn around and there's like these two girls in this Mustang, and they were like just out their window, were zapping a taser. And I walk up to him and I was like, "Is that a taser?" She was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Can I tase you? I want to tase somebody." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I just stick out my arm and I let her tase me like 3 times.
You get her a Snapchat?
She lived across the street from me. Why would I need her Snapchat?
All
I
that
just
for a
walked.
Snapchat.
But you would do worse for a Snapchat. Stop lying.
Why would I do worse? What?
You
Nah,
would put
you
on
just-
cat ear. You would put on cat ears and a questionably located tail.
I don't know. I
Oh,
think it's the anatomically correct place for a tail.
Hello, Zach.
hey, what's up, Dan?
Sky. That was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Look at he's playing with his new.
Oh yeah,
rope
Dan.
that he got.
By the way, that person deleted the video. I don't know why, but I think it was because I was getting a lot of people following me because she posted the video.
It's just, you just got so much comment.
I literally got like 10 people who followed me from that video. It's like that's great.
So true. That is amazing.
Another one I have a video of. There was this club in Tallahassee. It's called Recess, and it's up on like you walk up to get it. It's on like a second story type deal, and there's a pool in the club, and nobody ever goes in the pool because it's a club. Who would go in a pool in a club? Except for me, of course, because I got dared to jump into it. So I it was like 40 degrees outside, and I just jump. I do like a cannonball into this pool, and I was like freezing cold for the rest of the night because I was like dripping wet.
Hey, I
I
mean,
mean, you can dry yourself off.
With what?
I don't know.
Other people like
towel, shirt.
they don't have towels. Wait, Zane's in Florida? Not anymore.
Did you not have an extra shirt?
We all need to.
No, I didn't have it. Who brings an extra shirt to a club?
Oh, I thought you were at a hotel. Never mind. That
No,
makes
no,
sense.
I said a club, like a.
oh my God,
Like a-
Pan.
Yeah,
he
you're so
literally
dumb,
said a
bro.
club.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
Pan.
Why?
Come on,
Everyone
Pan.
shit on
I
Pan.
don't know.
And
I don't know. I think it could have been a nice hotel.
Nope.
We all need to rent an Airbnb one day. That'd be the most base thing ever.
TikTok, Airbnb, fucking talk.
Yay!
That would be just bring a bunch of very socially awkward leftist.
I'm not socially. I'm not. Oh, leftist. I was about to say.
Yeah,
I'm not socially awkward at all.
but, like,
Well,
bring
we
a
don't
lot
need
of
to bring the
leftists.
leftists. We don't need to bring
Yeah.
the leftists.
Yeah, we don't.
We do need to bring
leftists
leftists so we can we can
bring
travel.
No, we can
The
bring
leftists are
women.
socially awkward, but we're lib right because, like,
Because we hate
POV,
those
I'm
people.
watching. I'm watching
Yes,
Zach.
Because
so
we get
true.
so many women, right, guys?
Send me your
High time
soul.
for
So
women
many
to die.
Dude, all the women. I'm
Okay,
definitely
so-
not lonely, guys. I get
So
all the
true.
women.
Send me your soul.
So
So
many
true.
women.
Zane, you're down so bad. I know.
Oh wait, I found the
I've never
video.
been
Hold
down.
on.
look at this. I got a Polaroid for Christmas from my girlfriend. Look at
Yeah.
that.
Here's the video. Here's the video of me jumping into the pool.
Oh, Jesus.
Baker,
That's
imagine
Zane
having
with-
And then I was like, you can see like the rest of the night, I was like dancing, just like soaking wet.
Was anybody like, why are you wet? Why are you soaking?
Well, everybody knows like there's a pool, so like I
Zane,
Oh,
you
okay.
with short hair like haunts me.
why?
Mhm.
Look at that. Look at that Chad short hair.
Oh shit, dude. I don't know.
Remember that he's like
I
5'5".
Yeah, what happens?
Zane, are you a short king?
I am.
He's like
That makes
5'5".
Zane is
Oh,
a-
this was
tall as
this
well.
was the Halloween party that I was telling you that I threw that guy said he was gonna murder somebody at. It was let me see if I can find a video of the dude. Oh, there's this guy right here. It's only like a 1 second long video. His name's Cortland. We became
That's
friends
live.
after that.
That's
Yeah, it
sloppy.
is.
He left a trace.
It is live. Okay, then I'll keep optics good. I have great
Why?
optics.
Fuck optics. Can't get
I have
No,
great
I literally started the stream off by saying, if you cancel somebody for saying retard, you're retarded. That's how we started the stream.
Yeah, but you're uncancelable because it's your birthday. The rest of
That's
us
true.
are
It's
out.
PIMDOS. That's PIMDOS. Thank you, political
Hey, can you
geezer.
verify
I
that it's
appreciate it.
verified?
Yeah, I can verify.
I don't think you can.
Can I verify
Oh,
what I
God.
wasn't listening? I'll be honest.
Oh my god.
You should get Jonah and Jovi in here. I've heard they've been pretty basic.
You should get Frankie on
Alex, look at
Da
that.
Vinci?
You got blocked by Bean?
here.
Bean,
Why?
Da
Bean
Vinci?
blocked me. Bean blocked me.
Why?
I wish
Why?
Bean
Ew.
blocked me. Motherfucker's weird.
Bean is interesting.
He's a
randomly-
pro-life apologist.
Zane is short pharaoh, indeed, if you put it that way.
Zane is sure.
Zane, what was your best birthday present?
Me.
This year, I just got food.
No?
The
Yeah,
left
okay,
is
so
being
which was the
canceled.
best food?
Yeah, leftist.
Yeah,
being-
leftist
that was
being
pretty
canceled.
good.
We can't let the leftists have more people canceled than us. I think we should take off our.
Hey, everyone
Can
else
you
is
join?
right
Yeah,
now.
Compot, you can join.
Yeah,
I'll send it to
the
the group chat if you want to join.
What did Jovi even say?
The
Apparently said the N word
I
and
have
called
had
some
so
people
much
re-
black dick
and-
I'm looking to the end now.
and she sent like unsolicited pictures to like a 15-year-old, and the like said retard a few times, and apparently you can't say retard. By the
Okay,
way,
the
guys, I'm
middle one
retarded,
seemed
so I can
bad.
say.
Flipped.
Absence
Flipped,
like
flipped, flipped.
April. I don't know who that is.
Go ahead and clip it, guys. I don't care.
I already did
Wouldn't we
it.
have to have viewers in order for something?
Zane is like
We have
autistic,
24
right?
viewers, Pan.
25. 25.
No.
Holy shit.
Yeah, what's
Hi,
up?
Mom.
Baker.
Hmm.
I know
Mom's
it's a stupid question, but I don't know who Baker is. So, are you the Baker who's debating Gannon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yo, it's maybe hype.
Guys, we need a free Finn though. Everybody else they can get canceled, but free Finn.
Well, how
Why?
happened to
What
Finn?
did he even do? Did he actually sexually harass somebody?
I mean,
So
no.
this is what happened. This is all we know is like apparently he touched a girl's leg. That's what he said. So like we really don't know anything.
Really stupid. If you're canceled for that.
No, he should get the death penalty for that.
Yeah, yeah. To be honest, that's actually like he gets exiled from the commune. To be honest.
Wait, you didn't ask a girl permission before kissing her? That's penalty.
True.
Is that a
Yeah,
real
I mean,
They do that?
Huh?
it kind of kills the I mean,
Okay,
obviously.
yeah. Oh, but here's the thing. Here, I've always felt weird
That's
about
why you
that
just
because.
lean in
Okay, so
slowly.
yeah. So
some
like
time to react.
growing up, I was always taught to be very, very, very respectful, and that always was something very, very hard for me because it's like I remember like the first time I ever kissed a girl was like in middle school, and I asked her, I was like, "Can I kiss you?" And it was just like the most uncomfortable thing ever. She was like, "Please never say that again." She was like, "Yeah, but don't ever ask me again."
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why you just do it slowly so that they get.
Shut
a
up,
chance
Pan.
to,
We're not
like-
taking advice from you. You're like 80.
And you just go quickly. So, and if they don't want to do it,
Yeah.
they just go quickly so you can just snap
Okay,
them.
well, that's
No.
probably better advice.
Hey, that might be good advice for you, ZC, but I don't know about me.
Right.
You might have to snatch a few.
You know, Zane, I see how it be.
I'm just messing with you.
Are you?
Zane secretly just wishes I kissed him, so like.
I mean,
What do you mean
well,
secretly?
Hey, yo.
He doesn't keep that shit a secret.
Zane, can I kiss you? Yeah, maybe. Wait, no, you're gay, so that's actually like kind of gay. So no, you can't.
Wait, you're gay, so it's kind of gay.
Yeah, if you were
No,
straight,
Zane.
if you're straight, it'd be fine.
Should I get a perm and bleach my hair?
I feel like that's
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a
I feel
good
like
idea.
that's a legitimate.
I hate my hair though. That's why I was
You know
wearing a
what?
hat.
Wait,
Like,
let me see your hair. Let me see your hair.
I'm not showing my hair on live. That's not gonna happen.
See it.
Okay.
See it.
Then I
I'm
can't
also never
tell
showing
you.
my hair.
There's a very small number of people who actually have a picture of my hair, and it's
You
like,
should probably shave the goatee. I mean, that's a starter.
Oh,
No.
I saw it.
My
I saw
God.
it.
My hair.
So
Okay,
hurt.
yeah, it's terrible.
Oh, that's bad.
Bro, you gotta.
Um,
get
bro,
that
would
out
it
there.
It is
Yeah,
really
it'd be
straight.
better
It
if
is
I
really
permed
straight. I would at the very least grow it out. You can't perm it at that length anyways. You're gonna have to grow it out.
Yeah, I have to grow it out a little bit, but
Zach, I read that
Not
hair,
just
bro.
cut it.
what's
Oh,
up?
actually, wait. How far up is your bald spot?
I don't know.
Yeah, 'cause
Guys,
that's
should
what
I
I'm
grow out
worried.
my
Like, pick up your
hair?
hair. Pick up your.
Slater,
Shut
how
up,
do we
Slater.
go?
Hair.
Yeah, Slater. I think yours needs a
Never
little.
have.
Well, if we're gonna give him good advice, we gotta.
I have a really big forehead. Let's just
Okay.
keep it.
Dude, look at that. See that right there? Yeah. People pay to see that.
Slater.
It's not happening. I'm not doing an eye review. I'll do it like whenever I leave TikTok. I'll do it
You've already done an eye review.
to like you guys in like voice chat.
I was thinking about growing a mullet for the longest
A
time.
mullet.
Yeah, I mean that would fit your
Yeah.
personality, to be honest.
Yeah. You give out
Yeah.
like mullet vibes.
Out of pocket thing.
That's based.
Calling people inwards in the gas station with a mullet.
Nah,
That
that's the
seems like
American-
All I'm
PC
missing is the
vibe.
mullet.
That's the yeah. It's the
Yeah,
American.
no,
Oh my god.
trips through Alabama and southern Georgia.
Bro, I want to live in Texas or Alabama whenever I'm older. So like,
Slater gonna say looking like Tarzan if
Why?
he grows his tail out any
Yo,
longer.
Texas tax
By the way,
rates
guys,
are
I was
so
not
high
saying.
right
By
now.
the way, guys, I was not saying that I call people inwards in gas stations. That
Well,
was- I mean,
were you?
maybe. No,
Maybe.
who knows?
That's my least favorite activity. Is
You'll never know. You'll never know
Yeah.
unless you meet me in
I
a
would
gas
never
station.
call
Then
them.
you'll
The
know.
thing I like
my
to
least
do-
favorite activity is treating racial minorities different. That's my least favorite thing to
Yo,
do.
what?
I love all
You know,
That's my
the
least
racial-
favorite thing to do, bro.
Bro,
The racial
Are
minorities in my
you
area
racist
know
or
not to go
something?
into the gas
No.
station if they don't want to get called the N word. So
Yeah.
like,
Oh my god. Optics are just off. for
Yo,
this
is this Codbot?
Hmm?
No, that's
What?
I
socialist.
know,
stuff.
I know, I know.
Oh shit!
finding
Someone
the
duetted me.
one. What did you post?
That's always whenever I see that I'm mentioned in a video, like I'm like, oh, what is this?
I get-
Oh no,
I get
getting canceled
terrified.
finally.
Okay, I'll get tagged in these videos where like a leftist or like a Democrat makes a really, really bad take and somebody will tag me and be like, I don't know about this one. What do you think, Baker? And I'm like, are you
this is really.
Yeah, it's
So
like
you
I
might
don't know why.
approve?
It's like people will be like talking about the stimulus check and then asking me my thoughts. I'm like, don't tag me in normie stuff. Like I don't care.
I could not care less.
Yo,
There was this
Baker,
video of me that was posted earlier today. I tagged Dan in it, but the person deleted it because people were following me off of that video because of what I said. It was.
Tell
so
them what you said, Zach.
I don't think that.
Actually,
we're
yeah,
live.
maybe not. Maybe not. But yeah,
But I was gaining followers off it. That's all that matters.
yeah. That's amazing.
I'm
No
like
one wants to say
uncancelable.
that.
If
Now I
you try
really
to
wanna
cancel
know what
me,
it
I
is.
hate.
Say hey to everybody.
Thank you, Jess.
You know
If
what?
you try to
does anyone
cancel me,
know
I'll just
about-
gain followers. Like,
Malicious Kong wants to be on the Zoom.
Man, just gone.
Yeah, that guy.
I'm down.
Yeah,
Zan,
put him
Dan,
on.
send it to him if you
Did
want.
you see this video, Zane?
I'm pretty sure he'll say optical.
Yeah, I saw that video.
I was
yeah, so disrespectful. He should. Their entire class should be banned.
My man's was in the double denim.
seriously, and they were it was clashing washes.
I know
too.
it wasn't even the same wash, bro.
Classic clashing washes. Big mistake.
Bro, if you don't stand for the pledge, you should be like going to jail or something.
Okay,
like
shut up,
that.
status.
No, what the fuck?
Bro, I don't
He's
miss
not
that.
wrong.
Bro, what?
Literally,
It was just a video he showed. I was being ironic. Still.
Generic Trash wants to join, so you know.
okay.
That's
I
a
have to go.
negative.
No,
Okay, let's go.
I gotta leave.
Yeah.
I think he'll say optical.
Baker, have you ever considered going by the pseudonym the Benevolent Baker?
I
You
think it's pretty
know,
clever.
my social studies teacher used to call me something similar to that. But have I considered it? Not really.
Damn. I think it's a great pun, personally. Well, not really pun, but.
You know what my social studies teacher called me?
What?
A disgrace to my family.
Wow.
Dang.
Bro.
I mean,
I should
Father
mention that. I
failures
should
of
mention
public
that.
education.
I should mention my mother was my social studies teacher. I'm just kidding.
Teacher spitting though.
How do you guys like this mind fuck?
Yeah. Send me your
Yeah.
soul. And
Yeah,
I'm
how
trying
do
to
you
get some
how do you
free
like this
flowers.
mind fuck? You can call me John.
Yeah,
It's
imagine.
I didn't
thought
even
that
know
I-
your name.
Oh,
I
how
thought that
wait,
was pretty-
Baker? How about the backbreaker Baker?
No, well,
Oh,
mine's
God.
the benevolent baker's like
Yeah,
Adam
that
Smith reference.
work, but I don't know how.
Everybody just assumes my name is Zach. What if my name was Zane or like?
It's not. You're not cool enough. Don't ever speak again.
Zane is such
Yeah.
is not even. I guess Zach. Was I right? Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with like T-Rex arms, like the gun company?
Yeah.
So I just found a way to mount my T-Rex arms, Ragnarok, my robe, and I'm kind of freaking. I'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
Baker on his way to put a 9mm into his thigh.
Yo, this is so funny. Wait. I look like a straight. Oh, come on. How do I do this? Oh, please. Look a straight. Call me Indiana Jones. Damn.
wait, Baker.
Dude, we should ban all guns except for BB guns. Like, who needs a gun, dude?
So
I
true.
agree.
Yo, we've got an Aussie in here that agrees with you.
We've been
I
Aussie
don't
that
agree with gun control in that way.
Yes, you do.
I do.
You're just putting
She
words
goes.
in my-
She goes. At least we don't got to worry about school shootings.
Why do you talk? I don't talk like that.
I don't talk like
Let's
that.
talk
Proceeds
like
to talk
that.
exactly like
Yeah.
that.
Proceeds to talk exactly like that was literally verbatim what I was
I'm gonna
saying.
get dunked on.
So true.
London knife crime. Every 10 seconds, someone is stabbed.
Shut
I'm
up.
an anarcho-communist gun control statist.
I'm a paleo anarcho-communist gun.
Okay, has anybody worked on like private control? Like, is that a thing that's
Yeah,
been written
private gun
on?
control is a thing. I think Bob Murphy talked about it a bit.
Yeah, he talked about it in Chaos Theory
Chaos Theory.
briefly.
Everybody who's not dumb on political TikTok doesn't believe in gun control.
So there's two ways private gun control could work. One is like you could have like an association of like so say like the way I theorized it is that you could have like a database and essentially if you owned a gun store you could use this database and other gun stores could like put in information like, hey, this person seemed kind of sketchy, they came into my store today and I decided not to sell to them, here's what they looked like. And they would put it into this database, and then if they tried to come to your gun store, you know, you could see that, and you could say, I don't want to sell to you. You're in these people have been saying you've been acting kind of sketchy. So you've got like the supply side, like actually like the people selling guns could decide not to sell certain people guns, and then you've also got like the insurance side where it's like, hey, we're your insurance company. We don't want you having nukes in your basement, so we're not going to insure you if you have nukes in your basement. Type of
It's
deal.
not fair.
And if there's a covenant,
You know,
if there's
fuck
like
those
a
insurance
covenant,
agencies, man.
you could also have like the covenant regulate it. I just made the dumbest joke.
Yeah,
Chat.
that's not joking in the comments.
Yo, Dan, you made a bad choice giving me access to your account.
Oh yeah, I
Just kidding,
feel
I'm
like
not gonna
that's
get
true.
you canceled.
I think I posted
There's so
the
many
alternate ticket
leftists on your
argumentation
account,
at
Dan.
Dan's account.
Dan, why are you friends with so many leftists? It scares me.
Friends, I'm plotting to kill them all.
Dan's just like
Good.
God,
Dan's
base.
befriending
You know?
them, and then once they're not expecting it, he's gonna pull out his gun and shoot them all.
Yes, just
It's
this.
so long
Jesus,
time.
dude, I made a video saying me thinking Christmas was over 3 days ago, and then leftists.
Oh
getting
no,
canceled.
guys,
It's
there's
getting
already an
100
account.
views a second. Like, bro, hold up, look at
That,
this.
hold on.
Like, look
There's
at the
a,
views. Crap, I gotta switch through this.
there's already an account called Please Cancel Zane, and this video posted on it.
Dude, it literally has
Cancel people for saying
10,000 views.
retard. You're
Wait,
retarded.
Bro, please tag me in that. Tag me in that.
Tag me in that.
Yes, yeah, me too. I want to see.
Dude,
this.
it's getting 100 views a second. What the actual?
Based?
How am I getting 100 views a second, dude? This is insane.
For what?
I posted a video saying me thinking Christmas was over 3 days ago, and then it goes to mass leftists being canceled,
Oh,
and it's getting 100 views a second right now. It's at 11,000. Jesus.
It's based.
That was fast. That was fast. I'm already getting canceled, guys.
Yeah, I see it. Please cancel Zane.
No, please cancel Zane.
Yeah.
What is the account called?
Yo, please cancel Zane. Zane hurt
Please
my
cancel
feelings.
Zane.
Well, that's a valid reason.
Zane threatened to kill my whole family one day.
Less
Just trust me
valid.
on this, you guys.
Sounds like Zane was offering to do the world a public service.
Zane got good.
Can you hear me?
Dang.
Why would gun stores
Yeah,
be
we can hear you.
incentivized not to sell to sketchy people? Gun stores already are incentivized not to sell to sketchy people because it's just like they're not even held liable, but like it's just one of those things. Like you can hear like stories from gun store owners all the time. It's like they don't want to sell to people that they think are going to go and kill somebody. Like so it's kind of just one of those things. Like if you're a member of a community, it's like I don't want to sell to this dude who's obviously off meth and probably gonna go shoot up a mall and asking me how many bullets it takes to kill somebody. Like if you're asking questions like that, you're probably not getting a gun.
Yo, Zane, out of curiosity, about how much people can I kill with a nuke?
Ooh, there's actually a website where you can see like
That's
the
the
blast
best.
radius of the biggest nukes and stuff.
Yo, beast.
I love that website.
I made that website.
Oh, shit, really? That's pretty cool.
There's a
I didn't know you were
website
into
where you
website
can
design.
see all of the gun shootings in Chicago for a given day. It's like heyjackass.com.
How do you have that many? How much space on the website?
Yeah, it's heyjackass.com. You can see all the homicide data for a given day. Someone puts so much time and effort into this website and no one ever sees it. It's shocking to me.
So true.
The 18 viewers right now.
Yeah, so how about so me and Angie, Social Scroll here, we were watching Haikyuu, and it's like obviously it's about volleyball and it's a team sport, and they're all talking about teamwork, and she goes, it's interesting that you're lib right and you like this show and they talk about teamwork so much, and I'm like, yes,
No,
lib right is when
There's
no teamwork.
That's why I'm
I'm
liberate.
saying that the show was
I'm a lone
cringe
wolf.
as fuck.
I'm just lib right because I hate everybody, you know? I just hate everybody except for
Live
myself.
right is when I'm the only person on the planet left.
Yeah, exactly.
That
Lib
is-
right is
Robinson
when
Crusoe. That's
It was
you.
just really
lib right is Robinson
cringy.
Crusoe.
I don't know.
If lib right is when no division of labor.
So
Yeah.
true.
True.
Dude, lib right is literally communism.
So true.
Well,
I agree.
I don't know about all that.
No, we're just on the
Yeah,
track.
yeah, I'm gonna have to go with
That
Slater on
means
this one. I don't know if we.
No.
I don't know if we.
I mean,
agree
I
on that
think
one.
it's true because if you think about it, socialism is fascism. Capitalism is also fascism.
True.
Well,
So there,
Yeah,
capitalism is
inherently
socialism.
authoritarian.
Why does Pan Ties setup look so professional?
Pan is a professional.
I am, but yeah, exactly. I'm a camera.
my
Have
room
you
is
read the book?
Would you like my
Have you read the
OnlyFans?
book
It's because he's a
Have you read
feminist.
the book Taipan?
Pan
No,
doesn't
I
read.
have not.
Pan does not know how to read.
If I do not find
I
out
thought
my
that's maybe where you got the
I-
word Taipan from.
throw my
I don't
phone.
know what you mean. I don't know how to read. That's.
Well, you just
I
you
know
don't.
how to read.
I can read.
I mean, none
just
of us here know how
not
to
in
do
my-
math, so it's okay.
I can read,
but,
just
like,
not on my.
You know
yeah,
how to do what?
Praxeology alert.
I could do
Guys,
that.
guys,
Josh,
everybody
do me a favor,
knows.
what's the
Everybody
question?
knows if you were smart enough to read Marx,
Yeah.
you would all be Marxist, guys. Come on.
That's a good point.
Bro, bring communism in here. She'll read us Marx and turn us
Dude,
into
if you actually understood the
Have you read
MLT, you would be a
Nozick?
Keynesian.
Make communism great again.
Yeah.
You just don't understand.
Whenever somebody jokes around with me, I'm like, they're like, if you actually understood Marx, you'd be a Marxist. And I say, if you actually understood Marx, you would not be a Marxist.
Wow,
Some guy
you
just joined my
actually.
live just to call me a fascist and left. Based.
That's insane. Imagine if you only agreed with me, then you'd agree with me. Wow.
Fascism is when individualism.
That's a tautology.
Very true.
It is. You know
No.
what's the tautology? I don't know.
Your mom.
Nice
I'm gonna-
joke.
Done.
I don't know what tautologies are, guys.
Like,
They're synthetic a priori statements, right?
Pretty
Yeah.
much. Well, no, because those don't exist. So.
Pan.
Okay, buddy.
Logic is a spook.
Yeah.
Look up it.
Yeah, that's why I believe in pair-consistent logical frameworks.
Man, stop.
Yo, there are
I'm
so
a big
many
fan of
political
S5
TikTokers.
modal
Why do we
logic.
not just combine our money and buy like
Can't,
the
don't even bother with him. He's a Poparian. He's already lost.
He's a Hoppian?
If
He's
you
a
understood,
pop. No. He's a Poparian. He's a
if you
critical
understood,
rationalist.
if you understood,
He's a fucking hack.
if you understood math, you'd be a Popperian too.
Yeah.
No, Pan, that's not how it works.
So Pan, can I present you with my my refutation of falsificationism?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so under Karl Popper's framework, he states that no theories can be proven true; they can only be falsified. Therefore, any propositional statement, if I am to test a theory, it is I believe that said theory is true. Therefore, I am going to attempt to falsify it. It is not the theory that is true, but it's the belief in the theory that is true. Since no theories can be true, they can only be falsified. But if then I falsify, so say we say proposition X. If it says I believe proposition X or theory X to be true, so I will attempt to falsify it. And then we falsify it. A falsification can also be reframed as a propositional statement, saying that it is true that proposition X is false, but this is a truth statement, which under his own framework, you can't make truth statements through inductive reasoning. So that's a direct contradiction. Because a falsification is also a truth statement.
Do you know what the principle of explosion is?
First, yeah, I know if A is true and if B is true, or if A is true and A is not true, then anything is true. I believe.
Basically, if you can get a contradiction, you can prove anything. So you need a logically consistent language. So you either like frost. Go ahead.
It determines whether what logical framework you're using, because there are a lot of pair-consistent logical systems that reject the principle of explosion. Generally,
Well, I mean, I'm a big proponent of Frege, but Begriffsschrift is pretty based.
But anyways, to your point, we don't Popperians don't disbelieve in truth. We disbelieve that truth is knowable inherently.
Okay, but if you're saying that if you're making the like objective statement X is false, that is a truth statement.
It's a true expression. I wouldn't know if I consider it a true. I mean, I don't know. Feels like some.
You're expressing. You're making a proposition that.
So okay, so like I'm gonna elaborate on what I was saying.
I mean, that's
so I made it very like. So I wanted to make it very clear with how I like set my framework. I said so the belief in the theory is what you believe to be true. But when you falsify a theory, you're falsifying the theory, not the belief in the theory. So it's not, so you can say, I believe this is true. That's not a contradiction. Or I believe this is false. That's not a contradiction either. But if you're setting forth a propositional statement that X theory is false, that is a truth statement. You're saying it is true. It is true that X theory is false.
It's a true statement that's not about, I guess what we mean is you can't make true statements about the world.
That is a true statement about the world.
No, well, that's a true statement about, I guess, not the world.
It's a true statement about a theory that exists within the world that you can't. The conclusion.
Are we considering?
You came to that conclusion using inductive reasoning as well. How do you?
Zane is the only man who I know wants to debate on their birthday.
I'll have to think about it. I mean, it seems like semantics to me. I don't really.
It's not semantics. It's like if the whole framework is operate. If the whole framework is
no, I get what you're saying. You're saying that not X is just as much a proposition as X. So you can't if you're talking about evaluation of truth. Like I get what you're saying, and it makes some sense. It feels like my gut reaction is that it's just semantics, but I'll have to think about it more. I don't have a.
Yeah, I mean, I can send you a standardized format of the argument so you can look over it and
perfect. Yeah.
What do I mean when I say the present king of France is bald? What is the truth? What is the present king of France is bald? What is the? Is it a true or false statement?
I mean, it's like super false.
Super false. What is super false?
Wait, is there a present? Is there a king of France?
No, there's not. That's the point. The super false is okay. It's not actually called super false, but I forgot the word. It just means that your statement doesn't make syntactical sense. So it's meaningless. Your statement presupposes that there is a king of France, and since that king presupposition isn't met by the common knowledge base, that means that the presupposition can't rationally be made, and your statement is just gibberish, right? So it's
So you
not
like
false
Frege.
because it can't be gibberish, right? Like saying a carrot is a vegetable or is a fruit is wrong, but it's less wrong than saying carrot is 2, right? So
when Ayn Rand says that pizza is a vegetable, what does she mean?
I don't care what Ayn Rand says. Like, I'll be honest.
As you should. As you should. Ace.
I mean, I don't know.
Swift is getting angry. Swift, do you want to join the Zoom? I'll send you the link. Here, I'll DM you the link.
Have you guys ever played Agar.io?
Yes, amazing game.
Yeah.
Or not the game. The what's the other one where you actually like try to guess the word? Where you're given a word and you have to draw it out.
Dictionary?
I mean, I don't know Swift. Russell's pretty badass.
Is that Drawful?
How can you not like Russell?
The guy that misinterpreted H. Bradley and Hegel on purpose.
If that's an argument, if that's an argument you're working on, Hebby, sure, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're already wrong. So you should probably give up on that.
Zane is like the only person I know who wants to debate on their birthday, but it's pretty basic.
Of course, praxeological conclusions could be falsified.
Oh,
by
it's
experience.
it's Scribble.io. Anyone ever played that?
Oh,
We're
I
right
played
back.
that. It's so much
No.
fun.
Scribble.io is so much fun.
It's an amazing game.
Yeah, I agree with you, Habistro.
So if anyone wants
Wish
to
you
play
did,
that, I would be
Pam.
down.
Yo, Zane, what's your thoughts on Trump?
Dude, he's my lord and savior.
Yeah, he's
definitely not. He's definitely not a lizard man.
He's also leading to like the anarcho-capitalism, so I especially like Trump for that. So
This is very true. This is
like,
very true.
Trump is dismantling the government from the inside, literally.
I'm super impressed by the fact that he was able to spend more money than Obama in half the time.
Because
that's
he's
impressive.
already said
Like
this to me.
I
but
thought
he-
Obama was going to be like the world record debt spender, but Trump comes along in 4 years, spends more than Obama spent in 8. And it took like, and Obama was a heavy spender. He spent more than all the previous presidents combined, but Trump could have done it in a single term. That's insane.
I could do better.
I don't.
I was about to say you
the-
give me the reins. Listen, we all talk about shrinking the deficit, blah 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 blah. But you give me the reins, and I'll be spending money, baby. You'll have inflation for days.
Mounds
Yeah,
of
no,
code.
If you make me the
Modern
president,
monetary
I'll tell you-
theory, hell yeah.
if you make me
I'll
the
raise
president,
the
I'll tell you
minimum
what's
wage to
happening.
$100.
We're gonna
Don't
do
worry,
the
don't worry, don't worry. I'll just we don't have full employment, so it won't inflate.
Oh, okay, that's good news.
I'll just raise the minimum wage to
They're
like
doing
$100.
average inflation targeting right now. So
I
like
mean,
you could have 8% inflation and it's fully within the Federal Reserve
yeah.
guidelines.
Well,
If I can disprove the preconditions that Mises establishes, and then the reasoning
I
for
noticed
this
you
or why
text Cap.
experience can't be used, I can. Well, yeah, but if you're disproving the preconditions, that's not using experience. That's attacking the presuppositions. That's something completely different.
yeah, but the
But again,
presuppositions are
but-
derived from experience.
No, they're not. They're a priori. But anyway, that's like the whole
A
thing.
priori.
Praxeology. Anyway,
Zane, what's 10 plus 10?
what's 10 plus 10?
That is
20.
synthetic a priori.
Maybe.
Math
Yo, what's up,
math
Sam?
is synthetic a priori cognition from concepts.
Hmm.
That's not what I'm saying. Oh, well, I don't know what you're saying then, Hasid.
Can you hear me? Right, I'm
Yeah, I
in
can
the
hear you.
process of doing something kind of at the same time, so just be listening passively and I'll jump in whenever I feel like.
All right, you're good. Let me get some more water. I'll be right back.
Zane drinking water like a king.
We got to figure out when we're gonna sing "Happy Birthday" to Zane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about when it's his birthday?
It is his
How about no? I think we should do it like we should have a
Thank
certain
you, Con
time.
God. Yes, I do.
Yeah, we
Posadas
should have a
jam.
certain time.
We should have
like
a
10
certain
o'clock
time that we
PM
set.
Standard Time.
Yeah, right at 10 o'clock, we just interrupt him and interrupt everything we're doing and
Wait,
start.
10 o'clock Eastern?
Wait,
Yes.
wait, Pantize, what did you, Pantize,
Fuck up.
Pantize, what did you say your TikTok was?
I'll just put it in chat.
Okay.
Post
So that's
sadist
literally all
man.
I care about. Like, I like finding intellectually curious people that are not just a rock.
You're talking
A
about
rock or
Dan.
Iran?
That's really mean to Dan. He's right.
Yeah.
So
I
true.
don't know.
So
I
true.
don't know.
All these
What if
stupid
he's-
Democrats are trying to stop us from funding Israel. Like, we gotta preserve the whole.
Exactly.
Greatest ally.
I will say though, I'm kind of tired of Republicans saying that it's the COVID relief bill when it's the omnibus spending bill. Like, we're not giving. Oh fuck! What's happening to my game?
I don't know, man. That sounds like semantics.
No, I mean I agree. It's bullshit.
What is this
bullshit,
bio?
agree.
I love it.
Like, yeah,
What is what?
my TikTok
I
bio?
love your bio.
Minarchist
Oh.
in the sheets, Posadist in the sheets.
Oh yeah. What an interesting biography. Does that make sense, Zane? Yeah, it makes sense. I just don't think you're going to accomplish that. Well, so yeah, it's like if it's like that's not attacking it on a posteriori grounds. You're still attacking the reasoning, not the conclusions through experience. So
I mean, communism is a great idea, but it'll never work in practice. So, I mean,
Yeah, I don't think.
so true, dude. It's actually
I
it's actually
love hearing
perfect.
people say that. Yeah, it's well true.
Has anyone even thought so the idea of semio-capitalism, the
What
post-Fordist semio-capitalism, post-Fordist, post-industrialist capitalism, where you're not really producing a material good, but it's the complete attack on all neural activity to capture all imagination, creativity, and mental activity.
Hold on.
And create.
To be honest, it sounded like gibberish. I don't know what you said.
No, think like TikTok. TikTok, right? We're not producing anything material, right? But we're still producing something that's commodified.
Our content is material. Videos are material.
Not really.
Wait.
What? How not?
But just because something comes from a material source doesn't make it material, right? It's like going to see a comedian and him telling you a joke isn't a material service. Like the joke is immaterial, right? Just because something comes from something material doesn't make it material.
Yeah, but you're not paying for the joke. You're paying for the experience of going to his show.
An experience is also immaterial.
But that's completely different than creating something in a factory and then selling it on the open market and then someone buying a physical good.
I haven't been listening. I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know how that. I mean, it sounds great, but we do still need material stuff, right?
In Anarchy State and Utopia, Robert Nozick talks about something.
Nozick is a hack.
Right, that's off topic. But in Anarchy State and Utopia, if in the book in part 2, he talks about like a machine that you will get plugged into, and it will just serve you all of the happy memories, all of the happiness like that you would imagine for the rest of your life. And he was like, would you get in the machine? So, and I think that most people would choose that they don't want to live that life because they feel as if something authentic in the real world is important, and they would rather live in the real world than just have these things fed to them.
Either that or most people lie about
I'd say
what
I
they
don't
actually
believe that.
choose because they're ashamed. I think that's more likely
It's an interesting question.
I think it's more likely it's a survey
in a
bias.
heartbeat.
Would you plug it? You would plug in, yeah?
I would.
So the fact that you're not going to create any memories or relationships in real life, you're never going to spend time with your family. Is there not something?
Hold on, Sam.
I mean, but people are already doing this now, though. Like,
well, I'm
What do
not
you think
saying.
Discord is, idiots?
I would argue Discord relationships can be quite real. It's a completely normative question. There's no right or wrong answer, is there?
No, so for me the answer would depend on so is it literally just like a pleasure machine, like it's just sending like these straight chemicals to my then no, I wouldn't plug into that because I don't see pleasure as like the ultimate end, so I don't see I think that would be.
What if it was like a machine that like gave you what your ultimate end is, right? Like you're living out your ultimate end but in a fake reality, right? So you're not in the real world, you're in a computer program, but you're getting the same experience.
Well, see, then I don't. Well, when you say fake reality, that kind of makes me not think that it can actually achieve my ultimate or achieve the ultimate end, because my whole thing about the ultimate end is being in line with the ultimate reality. So how could that be accomplished within a fake reality?
Because you could think you've figured out the ultimate reality in a fake reality. You don't have to know that the reality's fake.
But you're asking me a question, so I do know. You're giving me the option.
No, I mean they would erase your memory or something.
Yeah, but I'm still making the decision, right? So I know when I'm making that decision that what I'm doing, I'm just evading reality.
Right.
But either way, like I think I don't know. I don't want to speak for Zane, but personally, I don't know if my ultimate end is achievable. Like if I don't.
Who just bought
personally-
something?
if I don't individually accomplish it myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a hard question. I don't know what I'd do. I guess, like Rothbard says, the only way to know for sure is for me to be in that situation and choose an action.
Yeah, I mean,
don't know.
it's-
Yeah, I'm gonna need a citation for that quote.
Okay, it's not an exact quote, but I'm pretty sure.
He said something.
I'm gonna need that citation. ASAP. I haven't read that.
It was
Are you
page
sure
2 of What Has Government Done to Our Men.
No, it's
Oh,
like
wait.
chapter 40 something of Man, Economy, and State.
Chapter
There are 40 chapters of Man Economy.
Yeah.
It's, I've not been. My Man Economy and State book clearly didn't come in 3 parts.
There's a lot more than 40 chapters. I'm
Swifty.
only like, I'm on chapter
I'm-
47 and I'm not
I'm-
even through the second volume.
What?
So
Yeah. He I can't tell if this is sarcasm or not. I'm gonna be
No.
completely honest.
no, unironically, it comes.
You know, after a reading group, right, on Man Economy. I know there aren't 40 chapters
it
in
was
Man
in his
Economy and State.
critique about indifference. It was his critique about indifference. He was
Yeah,
talking
he-
about how things aren't actually indifference because by choosing one we show that we prefer it.
Are you confusing chapters and subsections?
Probably.
Yes, you are, Pan.
Yeah.
Yo,
There's a
Swifty.
subsection for it. I don't
Get-
care.
look
about
what I got today.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
My final. I have every single.
Omnipotent. That book's underrated. That book's really underrated as like a as like a history book.
I wrote
I
that.
have every single Mises book now.
No, that's you have more Mises books than me. Which I feel quite ashamed.
Zane has read like 200 books in defense.
I've
Though.
not read 200 books.
200 books.
He read
What?
Y'all
Zane,
read? I
wait,
thought it
Wait,
was
you
a
must
joke.
wait, ZC. You must not realize who you're talking to right now. Who's
Zane.
Do you not know who Sam is?
No, I
Sam
don't.
is
Sam doesn't
literally
read.
Sam.
No one knows the one.
Sam is literally the librarian for the Austrian econ. Are you in the Austrian econ server? Oh my gosh. Why do people like not use the resource that we have? Like
a,
it
lot,
is.
a lot of people do, but there's a silent majority who like send me messages with like blah 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 X question about it. But a lot of
I
people.
use
Yeah,
are-
where's generic? I thought he was gonna join.
No, I said he's not joining.
I use the Austrian Discord server. It's got really good stuff.
I use it a lot too.
Right.
Books.
Yeah, I'm the
Although,
Swift guy, so I'm
That
first in
said,
digital.
y'all need to like stop caring so much about quantity. Like, take your time to understand the book. You don't need to just count them. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I've read 20 billion books. Like, great.
We live in a
I
world.
don't
We
think
still
how
live
many
in a
of them did
world
you
of
understand?
scarcity, right? We still live in a world of scarcity. I'm gonna read something. I want to get out of the way as fast as
I've
possible.
only
Something
read
else.
Pure Theory of Capital and I don't like
That's
Shut
the
up.
first book I've ever read.
Shut
first
up.
book.
I wrote that book too.
Oh wait.
Yeah,
This is, I also
I'm
got
glad
this.
that's a joke, by the way. I'm glad that's a joke.
It's not a joke.
That's a good joke. It's a good joke you've got there. It's a good joke you've got there. I like
So I know I specifically said that I wasn't gonna order the compilation because they typically have really thin pages, and so I ordered like those two books by Wittgenstein separate, and then I got this today, so which is collected
major
works.
works.
Yeah, major
Some
works.
of us, no, to be fair, you do want some of Wittgenstein's other stuff, so his uncertainty, some of his epistemology is quite good. Although it's very of the
Yeah,
time,
it's
I guess
just-
you could say.
I
His stuff
I
on
had-
culture is great as well. He's like anti-scientism in a very similar way to like Hayek.
Anti-science.
Anti-scientism. So scientism is like being obsessed with science that can answer every question.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah. So like
So
They're
anti-positivism.
like Sam Harris, moral
So
realism.
basically like
Pan.
anti-positivism.
Like Pan. Like Pan.
What do you?
Okay, so here's what it
You believe
it
that
has.
metaphysics is a sham.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
so.
that's so dumb.
Okay.
Sam, this is what it has. It has On Certainty, Studies for Philosophical Investigations, the Blue Book and the Brown Book, and then Tractatus Logico Philosophica.
Ignore the blue book and the brown book, and you're not going to read the Tractatus anytime soon. Just read Philosophical Investigations and read it all, right? Get that book and read it all. It's the only one we have to focus on right now.
Yo,
Oh yeah, Zane,
Papa
would you
John
send me
is
the
here just
formalized
pointing out
or the formalized version of your argument?
I don't have like I'll make
okay.
one for you. I don't have it like
Oh,
on
okay.
hand.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you did. Don't worry about it then.
I don't have like the standardized argument on hand.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
something it's something I came up with when I was arguing with F.
Yeah.
Because he
So,
snuck
homie,
Yeah, he snuck. He got a little sneak and snuck into my server, and we were talking, and I was.
If you still follow Popper, then you're just not up to date with contemporary philosophy of science. It's like you just obviously not looked very hard. What
You're
Popper?
right, I'm not. What should I read?
Well, just get any contemporary philosophy of science book that anyone would at university, and just go through it. And just go and you just see what people believe today, as opposed to and why they've made that development since Popper.
Didn't who's that? Have you read any Kuhn, Sam?
Talib is
Have I read who? Sorry.
His I forget his first name, but it's Kuhn, Kuhn, and he had like a similar epistemology to Popper, but not exactly.
Kuhn or Kuhn.
So does
Kuhn and Popper were both.
Talib.
They're usually put together.
It's Talib, not Talib.
Is
Yeah,
it?
I thought
Talib?
so.
Are you sure?
Wait, Talib? What did Talib?
Zane reads theory? No, I don't think I will.
Okay, well, if it is Talib,
Everyone have a good night.
I love Talib's books and essays.
No, he's got some funny comments on Economist. Have you seen his comments on Economist, Talib's?
No.
No, let's get his I want to get some comments that he has on Economist.
From who?
Talib, right? We talked about the same Talib, right?
Oh yeah, sorry, I just couldn't understand your accent. My bad. Yeah, same Talib. Nicholas.
He has some funny comments on Economist. He isn't a massive fan of Economist. A prostitute who sells her body.
Scientist, bro.
Yeah, wait, where's I'm trying to find a good comment that he has on Economist. No, there are entire forums dedicated to it.
Isn't Talib essentially a Popperian though?
Is he?
Not they're very similar, but they take it in like different directions. Like they both set out to like the purpose of their epistemology is similar to differentiate between like pseudoscience and like actual science. But I don't think Kuhn calls it pseudoscience. I think he calls it something else. But I haven't actually read any Kuhn, so I couldn't tell you exactly what he does. But he takes like a different route, and a lot of people tend to like group them together and think that they're the same. But actually, in one or two of Kuhn's books, he wanted to specifically make out that he was also critiquing Popper in his epistemology, and took it like a different route. But no worries, Compbot. Peace out, bro.
Peace, Compbot.
All right, I found a pretty good quote now. It's success in all endeavors requires absence of specific qualities. To succeed in crime requires an absence of empathy. To succeed in banking, you need an absence of shame and hiding risk. To succeed in school requires an absence of common sense. And to succeed in economics requires an absence of understanding of probability, risk, or any second order effects about anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
So he's echoing Bastiat very clearly then, just to see.
Yeah, I was about to say that sounds like Bastiat. When he talks about like well, I know like obviously everybody knows like the broken window fallacy from Henry Hazlitt, but that originated with Bastiat.
What is seen?
I was just saying that it originates from Bastiat and what is seen and unseen, but everybody knows it because of Hazlitt, and because he talks about it in the Economics in One Lesson.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird that became his most popular book. Do you know that Hazlitt has a book on like philosophy, like just general political philosophy?
It's like Origins of Morals or something like that, right?
Foundations of Morals.
I don't know how many people actually read it, but
I actually think I may have ordered that one like recently because I got like $200 in Amazon cards, so I may have ordered that because I saw it. And he also, from what I like, a lot of people don't know this, but I've heard his work on like welfare and poverty is pretty good.
I don't know. It would be interesting going and look at his newspaper columns at some point, given that he wrote so much because he was always writing. It was his job to write.
Why does everybody assume I'm a Trump supporter because of the way I dress? It's so frustrating.
You do look like a Trump supporter. You look like a racist Southern American who likes
I was about to say,
in defense, I do love Trump because Trump's racist, but like.
So true.
Right. So these people aren't wrong, right?
Zach, you have 50K followers. You were the biggest neocon for a long ass time. No shit, everyone thinks you're a Trump supporter.
Yeah, dude. If I, dude, I wish I would LARP as a neo. I honestly, I've thought about LARPing as a neocon so much for the fame because it's like it's so easy. Like all I have to do is like stitch a video, go Trump 2020, and then have like 200K followers.
Yeah, dude, I should go back to being a neocon. I was gaining so many followers back then.
Should go back to
Yeah, you
being.
got smoked by socialist hype house in a debate.
No, they refuse to debate me now. They refuse to. We had me and Benjamin
Wait. Hold on. Somebody might call Cap. We have a member of Socialist Hype House in the call right now.
Oh, who is it? Who is it?
We have the
Hold on, who is it?
creator of social.
I thought he got banned.
Not Corvated. Where I was talking about Angie.
Oh, Corvated?
Oh, I was gonna say yeah, Corvated got
I was
kicked.
gonna say Corvated isn't in the Hype House anymore. But
No, I was talking about
Beard and
Socialist
Jonah
Hype
had a
House.
debate with me and Benjamin, and they backed out. And then I wanted to debate Jonah after that, and Jonah said he doesn't have time, and Crazy Beard said he's not debating anymore. But yet they still try to debate other people, but they refuse to debate me. Jonah and Crazy Beard. I don't know about other members, but I know those two won't debate me.
I mean,
Corvated was kicked
I
out
mean,
for
like,
being
I don't.
free-thinking black.
Yeah, I don't really care about the group. I mean,
I was talking about Angie, not you, Corvated. I still love you though.
I know.
Oh,
I'm
Angie's in the
base
Social
chat.
Hype House?
Yes.
Oh, weak.
Based.
Very cringe.
Have fun. Yeah, have
Yeah, I was gonna say cringe, but I
Cringe, cringe, and tanky pilled.
You're so rude. Do you like the
need
logo
to-
I made?
What are your
What's up?
thoughts on the
Angie, did you know that dog was created by capitalism?
So true, Zach.
You're a communist, but you have an iPhone. Yeah, kind of contradictory.
Yeah, that's a contradiction, dude.
I
You
have an
participate
Android.
in society, but you're a communist? Contradiction.
She has an Android.
Oh, you have an Android? Okay, then it's justified for you to be calling me. I get
At least she's committed.
that.
So true, guys.
Imagine having an Android.
Yo, couldn't be me
Yeah.
and Slater. Could not be me and Slater.
Freaking androids.
Wait, you guys unironically have an Android? I thought we were just joking.
Nope.
Nice iPhone, Zane.
Thank you. His TikTok is literally Contbot, Jessica.
There's still people watching this?
Yeah, we have 17
I don't know, man. I don't know what they're watching for. Probably just to look
They're
at
watching
me
for
and,
me.
like,
It's okay.
Yeah, they want to see if Slater's gonna do an eye reveal or not.
It's not
So
gonna
you're
happen.
doing an eye reveal.
They're probably all just staring at Dan. Most
So
likely.
true. So true.
That's
so
what
true.
I'm doing.
That's what I've been doing the whole time. That's why I haven't been on my phone. I've just been like,
Zach's got he's pinned my video.
yeah.
It's just like super large shit. So true.
And I keep on shutting off my video just to like, yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh, so true. So true. Yes, Compot, you can post again. 100%.
Oh, Dan, I have a
Segue.
video of my stitches, my drafts on your account. I'm gonna post it.
Oh boy.
It's a good
Yeah.
video.
Yes, you should do that.
All right, there you go, Dan. It's uploading.
Wait, Dan's getting canceled now too. Based.
Wait, why was Dan canceled?
So Dan commented on the video of me getting canceled, and he said ratio, and then he said so true, cancel Zane, and then the person who's like the cancel account responded with a video of Dan agreeing with me when I said what I said.
Yes, so base. Finally.
Wait, hold up. Did you tag me in the video?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna look at my mentions real quick. I want to see this.
Wait, who's canceling you and why?
It's the page is literally called cancel Zane or like please cancel Zane, something like that. And it's because at the start
If
of
you
the
cancel
stream
me for saying retarded, you're
Yeah, I
retarded.
said I want to start. Yeah, it's called Please Cancel Zane. I said I want to start this stream out that if you're canceling people for saying retard, you're retarded.
Should I
And
comment retard?
So
No.
who in this call owns that account?
I don't know. I think it's
yeah.
Jessica Beth. I think it's just,
Oh, that's probably it. Yeah, that sounds like
Yeah, that's
something.
probably the Simps.
That's
The
something
doxer.
Jess would do.
Dan, did you just post? Is this a repost?
Jess, are you who I think you are? DM me.
It's Scott fan page pan.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is. I think
That's what I
this-
thought. Never mind.
Zach, this is you. You like dubbed over. the
Dan,
text.
what is this post?
What?
What is this?
Yeah,
repost?
Zach posted it. It wasn't me.
That's
Oh yeah,
disgusting.
the post is so
The
based.
minarchist one.
This is gonna make me die. I'm gonna get. This is why I'm gonna get canceled. And look at me. Look at me. It's like
You look really cute. Too.
Show the video.
back when my hair was short.
Dan, you're too cute to get canceled. They won't like you in the they won't treat you well in prison.
Hold up, okay, I'm gonna show the video, guys.
Yo, it's Phoebe. Wait, why did you call Phoebe the N-word, Zane?
What?
Please never say those words again.
What do you mean, what? She said it in chat.
Never say those words
Yeah, Biggie also called.
And it says be a minarchist. You
Guys, Dan called me the N-word with the hard R. It's true. Please cancel him.
So true.
Phoebe, stop spreading lies. I did not
Stop
say that.
spreading those rumors around.
Stop
Okay.
spreading. Yeah. That wasn't funny, Pan. I wasn't repeating you. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah, it didn't sound like you were repeating me.
Right.
I gotta make sure to tag a bunch of ANCAPs. I'll tag voluntarist Heaven.
Why'd
That's a
you
good
post
idea.
that, Zach? That was such a cringe video.
Why not?
Aren't you an ANCAP?
Yo, yeah, like.
Why are you encouraging minarchy? Why don't you do the same thing but for minarchists? And push the ANCAP minarchists around, bro.
Well, yeah, but like, it's like.
The all-out war is
So good.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Dude.
do this war on January 16th.
Wait, Beaky, when are you joining?
Yo, Alex, you're a contradiction because of objective law. Just trust me.
True.
He's not joining. You scare her.
Oh, word.
Take Biggie, she manipulated.
That
him.
and her mic's broken.
Biggie does say the N-word in her head when she sees black people.
Yeah,
Wait,
Dan, I
Dan
hope that
said it
It
in
was a
your head?
violation of objective law, so it can't happen.
I hope that becomes your #1 video, Dan. I'm not gonna lie.
So true.
Ben, do you
Oh
have
no, the
radical
minarchists
combo?
are liking it.
I have what?
So true.
I didn't hear you, Slater. Do I have what?
No, I was asking Dan if he has radical capitalism in his bio.
No,
He
they
does.
took it. They put in tanky, and then someone put in I am the reaction. So true. And then I put in a disclaimer. If you see a comment that says that is out of pocket, it isn't me, Dan. Because people were commenting some wild stuff. Oh, and Alex, I loved your refutation to argumentation ethics.
Oh, it's
It was
so
just like
based?
it's so true. It was so based. Like I mean, like it really the liberty.
Imagine
Rec-
imagine unironically using argumentation ethics.
Yeah, I think that.
Get him.
I thought those were debunked, like, I don't know,
It was debunked by Jason
Yeah, I
Brennan.
debunked it.
a billion years ago.
Yeah,
Dan,
tweeting
can
about
you
libertarians.
prove
debunked
your new
argumentation.
bio and say if it's okay or not?
I'm just curious.
Uh-oh.
What argument did you use against argumentation ethics?
Hoppa conflated a liberty right and a claim right.
So true.
Okay.
So true.
Oh my gosh.
I don't
Yo,
know
Dan,
what.
can you
I
tell me if
use
your
against-
bio is okay? Is that an okay bio to have?
Directly copy and paste.
Minarchists, yeah. That's
Why do
fine.
Hoppians think that's a
Minarchist
meme
monarchy.
response? Why do Hoppians think that's a meme response? It's a valid critique. I haven't heard a single one of
So-
them actually respond to the liberty versus claim right thing.
Didn't Kinsella respond to that?
I don't know if Kinsella, possibly.
What did Kinsella say? Because I mean, it's not my preferred argument against argumentation ethics, but
I don't know
Makes
what
sense.
Kinsella said. I thought that he addressed it, but I don't use argumentation ethics, so
I haven't seen. I don't use it either, but I know a lot of people that do subscribe to it. So what would the other argument be? I'm curious.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Pan.
No, you go first.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say a lot of people. Well, I haven't looked because I don't use it. I haven't looked into
Yeah,
the
that
critiques. of it.
I'm the same. I'm the same.
I haven't used it, so I haven't looked into the critiques of it either. But from what I understand, like there is like the whole liberty right claim right thing, as well as there's some part about like I'm trying to think about the argument. I'm trying to formulate the argument in my head. I know Back Alley Philosophy has a good video on like they did like a 5-video long series on like argumentation ethics.
No, it was a
And
series on Hoppianism, and one of the parts was argumentation ethics.
Oh, was it? Yeah, I can't think of it right now. I'm not thinking straight right now, but again, like I said, I don't use it, so I don't really know the critiques of it that well either.
Yeah, also, so the critique I know is that in order to argue with someone, you don't need to presuppose that they have, the right to argue. You have to presuppose that they currently are arguing or currently are, you don't have to argue that it's you don't have to presuppose that they are morally entitled to argue. You only have to presuppose that fuck, what was the actual formulation of the
So
argument?
essentially what you're saying is like, oh, if I don't murder you, it's not because I'm morally entitled not to murder you, it's just because I'm choosing not to.
No, well, I mean, so argumentation ethics goes by like saying that, hey, if you argue with someone, then you're acknowledging that they have, you know, the right to argue or
Yeah,
something
I'm
like that.
aware of what it says. I'm just saying.
Well,
so
I'm also
essentially-
like specifying for people watching the stream, Zane.
I think most people know what argumentate, but I'm just saying that what you're like essentially is it's just like I cannot murder you without necessarily thinking that you have a moral obligation not to be murdered. Is that what you're saying?
It's more like, so like, let's say you were a socialist, right, and you didn't believe in individualism, and so you didn't want to acknowledge that somebody had a moral and ethical claim over their body, right? You think their body should be used by the collective. You could still acknowledge that pragmatically they currently have control over their body without ceding that they have a moral right to it. Right, you don't have to acknowledge that they have, you know, the right to argue. You only have to acknowledge the fact that they are capable of arguing and are currently arguing.
Yeah, I don't make a very good connection. You might if you want to think about that.
Let me think of another way to say it.
I think. Wait. Pi just said so. The agential capacity to do X versus the right.
I'm sorry. The agential.
Yeah.
Did I hear that correctly? What's
so
that?
you have the I don't know. Pi. So essentially, you have the ability to argue, but not necessarily the right to argue.
Like you're an
agential. Sorry.
An agent. Like a
Yeah. You have the agential capacity to do X versus the right to do X.
Basically, you have to like assume some definition of ownership where it's not you have the right to control or possess. It just like people define, or I've seen Hopkins define ownership as just exclusive control over something. So like you have exclusive control of your body, therefore you own it, and you're presupposing that when you're arguing with somebody else. But I think that's a lacking definition because I mean you can have exclusive control over something that we wouldn't really consider you.
I think a better definition would be exclusive legitimate control.
Yeah. So yeah, like what does exclusive control mean? It could be like denying the fact of your control or denying the legitimacy of your control.
Because so I can control your car, but that doesn't mean I have the legitimacy to control your car. Because I could steal your car and therefore I have the exclusive control over it, but I don't have the legitimate exclusive control over your car.
Yeah, like suppose. So it's like exactly. So
but I still think that it kind of uses abductive reasoning. It's like, oh, I have exclusive control over my body, therefore I own it, which seems like backwards reasoning. It seems abductive.
Yeah, like say Zane is hitting me. I can acknowledge the fact that he is exercising control of his body.
I'm well aware that legitimate is normative. Pi. I was making a normative claim. Because like when you're talking about property rights, that is normative. You're saying that you have the legitimate control over a entity like this Kit Kat, and therefore normatively, if you were to steal this, that would be like a normative violation. So yeah, I'm aware that legitimacy is normative. I was making, that's why I made it normative, because I was claiming that it's not just exclusive, because exclusive control is not normative, it's descriptive. Because I can have exclusive control over a car, that doesn't mean normatively it's my car. I have ownership over it. So I was using legitimacy as a way of defining it in a normative format of legitimate control.
So I was thinking about the exclusive control thing, and I don't think I'm not arguing for this. This is just something that I was thinking about the other day. Wouldn't you either have to have either legitimate or illegitimate control? And illegitimate control would necessitate like some sort of theft.
Yeah, so like so like illegitimate control of something means that somebody else has the legitimate control over it.
Okay. And
or like if you take a look, like if you watch the live stream at Block, if you look at like the blocking proviso, right, and you were to encircle an unhomesteaded area, you would be controlling something that you don't own. not necessarily like controlling something that somebody else owns, but you're controlling something that's completely unowned, completely unhomesteaded through your homesteaded property. So he would argue that that would be illegitimate, and therefore you'd have to like leave a pathway for somebody to go like homestead that area. So that would be the only case I could think of in which you could have legitimate control over something that is not normatively owned by somebody else already.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was thinking that. Okay, because that kind of throws a wrench in the works of what I was thinking about. I was thinking that if illegitimate control is only derived, like you can only get illegitimate control from stealing something, and you haven't stolen your body, wouldn't you just naturally have legitimate control over your body then? The control you have over it isn't illegitimate, so therefore it would be legitimate?
That would be a disjunctive syllogism,
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, like I said, most people like you don't have to argue against self-ownership to argue against argumentation ethics.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
because like self-ownership isn't like Hobbes' conception that came through John Locke and Nozick talked about it a bit, and you know for the most part like the notion of self-ownership predates argumentation ethics.
Yeah.
So like just like supposing that you own oneself is still again, like if we define ownership as legitimate, then if you do own yourself, therefore you do have the only legitimate control over your body, then yes, normatively nobody else should be able to control what you do with your body. However,
the bigger
that
issue
doesn't necessarily sorry, go ahead.
just because you have to assume that somebody owns their body to argue with them, that doesn't actually mean that they own their body. That just means that you have to assume that to argue with them, or that you're
But the point would be that you can't rationally justify it.
Well, you can justify. Well, it's a fact, right? Like whether or not their argument is, or whether or not they do have the right to do what they're doing that started the argument, like the type of argument in the first place. You have to acknowledge that it's a current fact that they have exclusive control over their body, even if you doubt that they have legitimate exclusive control over their body for that action.
Say that again, Pan. I wasn't listening. I usually tune out when you start talking.
No. It's not just you. It's not just you.
So
I'm just messing with you.
I kind of wrote. I now this is like super new, and I don't even fully. It rests heavily on one thing, but you guys can dissect it if you'd like. So true, Tommy. So true. So you guys can dissect it if you'd like. Here, I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, I can't do that.
I'm gonna use the restroom.
Yo, Tommy, who's the cutie in the background?
Oh.
That's Zane and
Okay, there he goes. Okay, listen. Here we go. At 10 o'clock, exactly 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. As soon as it turns 10, we just interrupt everything we're doing, and we start singing Happy Birthday.
Like in 14 minutes.
14 minutes.
That's a chat.
It's the plan. It's corny, I know, but like
it's fine.
It's not corny.
It's fine. It's fine.
But we have to do like. But if one person makes a plunge, we all have to go right. One of us is going to start singing, and then
Dan, you started it off.
Okay, yeah, I'll make the move. I'll be like, Happy Birthday. Okay.
Wow, that's a good.
I'm gonna have to smoke some weed so I can actually do that without cringing too hard.
So true.
I know.
Hi, Zane.
Oh, hi, Zane.
Yeah.
Hi, Zane.
So
Here,
what was that argument you wanted to formalize?
Yeah, Alex.
And
can
we
you
were
share my
all
screen?
talking about how much we hate you.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Not all
my
of
bad.
us, only Slater.
True.
Share screen now.
Okay.
Yeah. PI. It does presuppose a dualism. It presupposes a mind-body dualism.
Okay, so this is like. Hold on, I'm gonna get rid of these other random tabs. This is what now. There's problems with it, and I know the layout is kind of.
I think the layout's
You have a longer syllogism than me for when I noted it. Like I tried to put it into the syllogism as well.
Dan, can you
Okay.
send this to me in Discord?
Sure.
Yeah,
I
I don't know
where
how.
I'll find you on Discord.
Now
I think
it
it's Zane.
really
What
heavily
is this,
rests
an
on
argument
this
for?
point. It's for
Well,
self ownership.
I already have like a contention with like P1 is an individual has exclusive control over their body. If I grab your arm and take control over, which I see like it clears up in P2, control must either be legitimate or illegitimate. But you like again like you're saying like in P1 an individual has exclusive control over their body. This isn't necessarily true. You can say an individual has exclusive legitimate control over their body, but like if I take you down and start punching you, I'm controlling your body.
Yeah, but I mean, like I think I would take P1 from argumentation that we kind of presuppose the individual has exclusive control.
Very bad.
Well, my way of putting it would be no position is rationally defensible unless it can be justified by argument. No position can be justified by argument if it denies one or more of the preconditions of interpersonal argumentative exchange. The interpersonal argumentative exchange requires that each participant in the exchange enjoy exclusive control over their body. To deny the right of self-ownership is to deny exclusive control over one's body. Therefore, the denial of self-ownership is rationally indefensible. Mine's a lot shorter than yours.
I thought that was. I think this is Tree's own argument, not argumentation ethics.
Oh, sorry. Is this a refutation of argumentation ethics?
No, I don't think it's a refutation. I think it's his own.
Tree takes a different concept on ownership. He doesn't follow homesteading.
Because there's a very I know someone who wrote a paper that I think is actually in a journal. It's just basically saying that you have to there are things that you have to presuppose in order to do ethics, but then you're just in a moral realism versus moral anti-realism debate. So I don't see where that gets you either. So I'm interested in what that is.
Okay,
I'm interested in what this is.
Dan, go ahead with your syllogism, or not syllogism, but your argument. Dan? Daniel?
Dan!
Why aren't you talking? It seems like you're talking, but you're not talking.
Oh, I'm muted. My headset's muted. Sorry.
Daniel moment.
Daniel moment.
Typical Daniel.
Okay, so an individual, so the conclusion one would be an individual must have either legitimate exclusive control over their body or illegitimate exclusive control over their body.
Okay.
So, then premise 3, I keep saying part 3, it's been ingrained in my mind, is ownership
Just
is
go
defined as legitimate exclusive control over the subject material. And I know that sounds weird, because I didn't want to say property because that like presupposes like property rights in the first place, but I put it there so people can kind of understand what I'm talking about.
Just keep going. We got you.
So an individual must either own themselves or their control over their body is illegitimate. So that's from premise 3 and conclusion 1.
How do you justify premise 3?
I'd say that, well, most people define ownership this way. I'm not going to be the best at it. But like,
yeah, I think this is
what I mean is how do you define legitimate under it? Right? Because that's
yeah, okay, so you do need to expand upon what is like, so you just said like well, ownership is defined as legitimate exclusive control over the subject material. An individual must either own themselves or their control over their body is
all you have to do is distinguish between ownership and possession, right? So in legal theory, you just distinguish between ownership and possession and the issues resolved, right? So you can have possession of something but not ownership, right? Sweet.
Yeah. So, but keep going. I actually don't take issue with any of this at all. I don't know, he didn't. By the way, Pan, he didn't say that you have legitimate control yet. He just said you either do or you don't. So, keep going.
Okay. I'm not freaked out. I'm just kind of like looking like, okay, this is interesting. So
I would P4. I would say theft or preclusion. Because that would be like the word, like the well, if you follow the Blockian proviso, you don't have to necessarily. I actually think I take some issues with it. I think that if we were to take it to its logical extreme, it could pose some issues. But I would say that illegitimate exclusive control is the action of theft or preclusion.
Okay, that sort of throws a bit of a wrench in the works. What is your argument against preclusion?
So I just find preclusion. So if we, I can, let me do this visually. Can I share? Can you stop sharing for a moment?
Yeah.
All right. Share screen. All right. Paint. So he talks about like, all right. So say you have area. Can I zoom out here? How do I zoom out? Okay, there we go. So you have area A, and you have area B. and you have, and he talks about, so say A is unhomesteaded, and you, let's see, Zane owns B. But nobody owns A. So we're going to put no. That means, and I would be precluding people from homesteading this. So I have to leave a path, he says, right? So we have a path. Here's the problem I take with this. Say there's C. Does C also have to leave a path all the way from A to all the way from C to A? And then all the way, so essentially, so say then you take it and we take this and you're all the way and like somewhere else on like 1,000 miles away. If anybody is blocking you from getting to A 1,000 miles away, is this preclusion? Does everybody have to leave a path to this unhomesteaded land? From all the way from 1,000 miles away to A, does there have to be an open path? Why just the, which I'm going to ask him about this when we interview him again in a few weeks. Why does just the immediate area around it have to leave a path? Why not everything? Because if there's any unhomesteaded property, then this kind of throws a wrench in like the whole concept of like property rights and stopping people from coming on your property. Because you could just say, well, there's some unhomesteaded property all the way in Africa, and you're in my direct path to get there.
Well, because there's alternative paths, right? Does the path have to be direct?
I think you would have, I don't think it, but essentially there would have to be a path, right? It doesn't matter if it's a direct path or an alternative path. So like, let's just say theoretically, everybody owns property between here and nobody wants you to let you on your property. Which one of these 1 million people is precluding you?
Yeah.
And
then I don't see, I feel like it just is like, why should people be able to, why should they be able to go and homestead? Like, homesteading gives you the right to the land.
Well, okay,
Why
so
should they
no.
go?
I can explain that really easily. Because if something is unhomesteaded, it's not owned. Therefore, so remember, rights exist in a negative sense. Therefore, if you're precluding somebody from their negative right to ownership, you're infringing upon their negative right. It's so a lot of people think of it as like, oh, like what you're doing here is they don't have a positive right to go and own something. However, it's unowned, meaning you're stopping their negative right from owning something that is unowned. You're impinging upon their negative right. How do I stop sharing my screen?
Like go to like the view options, and there's like a right beside the green thing up top. There should be a thing that says stop sharing.
And it'll be red, yeah.
Did I make it up in my head, by the way, Zane, or did you say you could get Michael Humer on at some point?
Yeah.
I said maybe. I haven't emailed him yet. I know we've got Kinsella and Block, but
I need to talk to Humer if you get him on. I need to talk to Humer.
I'll email him tomorrow then.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody stop my stream for me. I can't do it.
Wait, the Michael Humo?
Michael Humer, yeah.
No, Michael Humer.
Here, and I'll go back to this
dumb
reason.
liberal like twink.
No, Michael Humer, the contemporary philosopher, Michael Humer.
So, or preclusion. Okay, that's interesting. So,
Okay, yeah, sorry. Well, the preclusion part was just added.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So, and I'm not saying you necessarily have to agree with the preclusion part because, like I said, I definitely still need to ask Block some questions about it. I definitely still take issue with it, but continue.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that kind of, well, we'll move on. And then conclusion for 3 would be if an individual has exclusive control over the subject material, they either own the subject material or they have stolen it.
Okay.
And that's from C1, P3, and P4 being those. Okay, then it says, then P5 would be the body was not previously owned before it was controlled by its exclusive controller.
Right.
Because I think that's kind of obvious, right? So then part 6 would be theft necessitates someone being deprived of property they own. So I would even say like I wouldn't use deprive. I'd say it being taken from them or whatever. But it's
that's a fine explanation.
And then conclusion 4 would then be the body was not stolen by its exclusive controller because it wasn't previously owned and there was no theft. Then conclusion 5 would be the control exercised by the body's exclusive controller is not illegitimate. So that would be from C4 and P4 because illegitimate control necessitates theft and the body wasn't stolen. And then C6 would be the control exercised by the body's exclusive controller is legitimate. From C5 and C2, an individual must either own themselves or their control over their body is illegitimate. And in C5, the control exercised by the body's exclusive controller is not illegitimate. So it's a disjunctive syllogism, like Sam was saying. And then C7 would be the body's controller is the owner of the body from P3 and C6. So P3 being the definition of ownership. So
if I were to take issue with it, it would be on how one comes to be legitimate owner of something. Like, or I'm sorry, if somebody were to take issue with it, it would be on the stance of how one comes to be a legitimate owner. Because again, you're saying like the legitimate owner is somebody who hasn't stolen it or precluded. But some might say, well, you can't be the legitimate owner of something, which I think that's stupid. But I'm just saying, like, if I were to come up with a, like, they could say, well, like there is no way to be, so there is no legitimate or illegitimate. It's just like you are yourself, like, you don't necessarily have legitimate control over your body just because you were the first occupier.
Oh wow, it's already 9:58. It's kind of like interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with Zane's critique. Premise 4 seems the one
Yeah,
I'm
that's
the
the
most
weakest.
shaky on. Here, let me take a look at the yeah, because it's talking about I feel like that's where people will disagree, because if you're on a framework where self-ownership doesn't exist, right? Then they could base legitimacy off of something else other than just the fact that property hasn't been stolen, or that it hasn't been that it's not what's the word, the other word?
It presupposes the homestead principle.
Yeah, okay.
So
yeah.
you have to justify the homestead principle before you can justify this argument.
Yeah.
Because if the homestead principle can't be justified, then just because you're the first occupier of your body doesn't make you the have legitimate control over it.
Yeah, because like a lot of collectivists would believe that you don't have, exclusive control over your body because your body can hurt other people. You only have, you have to do with your body what helps the
Happy birthday to
you.
What is going on
Happy
here?
birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Zane. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
Thank you guys.
It was
Thank
funny.
you.
I was trying to listen to Pan, and I'm also like looking at the clock, like, okay, it's almost 10 o'clock.
Y'all planned that out. I didn't even notice.
It was, you went to the you left, you got water, and you went to the bathroom, and that's when we.
Oh, okay. Thank you guys.
Yeah. So you continue, Pan, what you're saying, because you basically have to presuppose the homestead principle.
Yeah, you have to presuppose that what makes someone's ownership legitimate is the fact that they didn't steal it. And if you don't agree with that, which, I feel like that's a kind of niche formulation of what legitimate ownership is.
But by the way, it's there's an interesting article by Roderick Long in regards to the idea of self-ownership and the homestead principle. You guys might be interested in that.
I think I actually have it. I was actually going to mention that. It's either it's either Roderick Long or Stephen Kinsella has one called "How We Come to Own Ourselves," and he talked I haven't read it yet, but it seemed interesting. I think I'll link.
Oh, is that the Getting Self-Ownership in View one? Is that what it's called?
No, it's literally called How Do We Come to Own Our.
I do have to say that I'm quite amazed by the lack of libertarian arguments for self-ownership. It's like libertarians have been around for decades, and there are so few arguments for self-ownership. It's quite unbelievable. It seems like modern day, yeah, but like modern day analytical philosophy, like they very strongly contest self-ownership, and there aren't many libertarian scholars actually fighting it. It seems like they tend to fold. I'm quite surprised by the lack of resistance.
Well, I think that's probably because, while that's true in maybe the, philosophical world, I think most individuals in the political world, at least in America, agree with the principle of self-ownership. So it doesn't really need to be justified for the uses that most libertarian thinkers are using.
Yeah,
I
I've
don't think they'll
literally
be-
heard leftists and like liberals use the axiom of self-ownership as an argument for pro-choice. Like it's almost like a generally accepted like principle and like general like they don't understand like what it like imply and like fully entails if one does own themselves. But it's like a pretty normie argument actually.
Yeah, I think that's probably why. It's because it's not necessary for the practical.
It's because it's pretty intuitive, so most people are willing to accept that, especially because it comes with all these political protections that people.
Yeah, but then when people start arguing that if self-ownership exists, then like the very existence of a state at all is in violation of that, then people are like, that's when people will be like, maybe not.
That's the ultimate gotcha, isn't it? You're with a leftist student, and then they bring up that argument for being pro-choice, and then you just bring that right back at them. And
I actually did that. So there's this guy named Ivy Coalition on TikTok, and he's got like 120,000 followers or something, and he made a video and he was like he was arguing for abortion and he used self-ownership, and I duetted his video and I was like, I said I said I didn't know Ilya is an ANCAP, and then he just comments like, what are you talking about? I was just like, well, you're using self-ownership.
Yeah. Well, when I was like when I haven't read any theory before I came onto political TikTok where people were like solidly questioning it. Like the first person that I saw actually question it was Abyss, because all the objectivists added me to like this group chat,
Ibis?
and Ibis, and they were all like basically harassing all the young libertarians in the group chat that like hadn't read a lot of theory. It was pretty funny, but that was the first time I had seen it questioned, and it really like shook me to the core because I had always just was like, okay.
Well, yeah, that's because Rand has a different justification for property rights. She uses like a argument for like a normative or like a rational, like if Slater could probably explain this better, but she uses like a rational egoist from one's right to life, correct?
Yeah, she thinks property is a derivative of liberty, and liberty is a derivative of life, and she gets the right to life. She thinks that rights are they only exist in a social context, right? So like if you were alone on an island, you wouldn't have any rights. Rights they exist in a social and political context, and they're sort of protection of your relationship with like the ego, because I mean, in the sense that she thinks that your purpose or that like the standard of morality is life, and that's what satisfies the ego the most. I mean, she doesn't talk about that like most traditional egoists, but that's what she's getting at. So she views like rights as like a political recognition of the ultimate standard of morality, which is life.
Which I tend to agree with the concept of rights only exist in a social context, because if you're alone, if you're a Robinson Crusoe on an island, you have no other the way I conceive of it is, so if you say ownership implies exclusive control, that means that there is somebody else who could control it. So like if you're alone on an island and there's no one else, if you're the only person on the world, exclusive control means nothing because there's no one that you're precluding from control. So like they're like, yeah, you're excluding. There's no one you're excluding from control. You're the only entity, right? Like or the only volitional being, I should say, who could potentially own this object. So you're not excluding it from anybody. So it's not exclusive. So like ownership implies a social context.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is why it's
But that doesn't necessarily mean that rights in general are social.
Yeah.
Because you could say that the right to life, that there's no ownership in the right to life, or I don't think there is.
Right.
So that doesn't mean that rights necessarily, but you could say that property rights specifically,
yeah,
or just
yeah.
property in general.
Yeah, property is a social thing because it's like, well, property implies exclusive control, and there's no exclusive control if you're not excluding it from anybody.
Hey guys, I'm gonna head out. I might join back later if I can.
Okay,
All right,
peace out,
see you,
ZC.
man. Have a good night.
Dude, I have a
Happy birthday, Zane. Have a great day, man.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you for coming.
Wait, it's his birthday?
My head is throbbing. Shut up, Pan.
Happy birthday. I didn't know that.
Wait, are you? Shut up, Pan.
We all don't.
Sometimes I can't tell how dumb Pan is, so I think he's being serious. All right, I gotta walk my dog real quick, so I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
All right.
All right, guys. When Zane gets back,
So true.
Let's all leave.
PI, why
Alex.
do you hate realism?
PI is an idealist, so that's why.
Why are you an idealist?
Because he's based.
Well,
There
I'd
we
like to
go.
ask him why he's based.
Y'all still here? I mean, you're still here. What is that supposed to mean?
Someone's mic is echoing. Is it mine? I don't think it's mine. But it could be.
A long time ago.
Because, like, I don't hear an echo, so... it might
God,
be
this live is boring. Shut the fuck up, SFP.
Yeah, yo,
For
don't
that
tell
Scott Fan page?
Yeah.
Don't tell SFP to shut the fuck up.
Enter the waiting room.
Oh, he has? Let him in. I don't know. I want to hear.
What's up, PI?
Yo, why are you an idealist?
Me?
Are you PI?
Yeah, I'm PI.
Then yes.
Well, that's a good question. I think materialism is absurd. Dualism is untenable.
True.
I'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
Yeah, dualism is untenable, and I think idealism can solve the problem of the one and the many. I think it can also give certain idealistic theories a universally mappable description of every single state of the universe in terms of experience, as opposed to matter and space-time or fields or things like that. So in a sense, it's the most parsimonious theory. Also, it works with what we have, conceptually speaking. Also, matter is essentially an abstraction. Now, that's not to say that the empirical objects that we perceive are unreal. Not at all. They're perfectly real, but matter...
What's up, Ryan?
Hey, how are you doing?
What's up? I'm doing good.
Matter, it's essentially just a useless concept when you really think about it. I'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, so I think dualism and materialism are untenable hypotheses.
Okay.
in my opinion.
So, what do you have against materialism first, I guess? I mean, because, like, I completely agree dualism is cringe.
Sure. So let me just pull some things up. I just want to, because I don't want to work. I want to know what I'm saying, basically. Because, I mean, I've written a lot about this kind of stuff, but I just don't want to get...
Don't worry, I won't know what I'm saying. I spend zero time on this aspect.
No worries. Can you hear me okay?
Well, I think first is Pan doesn't think metaphysics is important at all. He just disregards the whole field. So we could talk about that first.
No, I think we should.
I mean, for the record,
no, I think the
metaphysics on
best way
whole
to argue against that
isn't
is for him to tell us why he believes in idealism, right? And then maybe, you know, if he is right and it's useful, then that would already solve my.
Wait, so PI, you don't believe in mind-body dualism?
That's a very difficult one. I think that both of them, when taken apart from one another, are abstractions to some extent. However, I do think that... Oof.
Not yet, yeah, sorry.
I do think that it is possible that souls can exist without the body. And in fact, well, I don't even want to say possible. I think it's probable. But the soul, if you want to call it a self or a person, whatever, I don't consider consciousness to be a thing. I consider it more to be an atmosphere of sorts, to use a very vague metaphor. But let me get to some of my arguments, and then we can see some stuff. So probably the first thing that we could probably... So let's see, are you a physicalist? Let me just ask you. So I just can understand where you're coming from.
I don't know. I don't... This aspect of philosophy, I don't think I know enough about it to have...
Why is Tommy cracking up? What is going on?
Oh, Tommy's cracking up.
Nothing, don't worry.
No, I'm self-conscious.
I mean, I'm quite undecided on the topic.
Dude, Tommy, if you actually got me that, that's based. I want it.
I did not buy you a CNT tank.
Dang it!
I know, you're really disappointed.
Yeah, let's just say I'm undecided. I think that's the best way to put it.
Nice. So let's just how do I put this? Let's just talk about matter for the time being. So let me just scroll up. I have a document here. It's like 30 or 40 pages long. I almost said wrong. It's like a Freudian slip. Let's see here. Okay. So when we usually speak about matter, what are we speaking about? What's the object that we're talking about? Well, usually it's an empirical object, something like a phone, an apple, whatever. When we really try to get down to the very concept of matter itself, we end up having to break the concept down into two particular things. So I'll call these two particular phenomena type A content of the concept of matter and type B content of the concept of matter. Now, I'm going to be using old-fashioned terminology. However, it still applies to contemporary accounts of matter, namely like these mathematical abstractions, basically. So like fields, particles, whatever, but it still applies. So I'll just read off some stuff that I've written. The concept of matter is exhausted by two types of conceptual content: A, sensations, and B, ideas. The type A content, which is included in the concept of matter, is exhausted by particular concepts, whose reference are phenomena that have neither meaning nor being apart from consciousness, namely sensations. Sensations are acts of consciousness which harbor qualitative aspects. These qualitative aspects are subject implying, subject dependent, and, being facts of consciousness, are phenomena that have neither meaning nor being apart from consciousness. Now, we can phrase this differently to illustrate the relationship between type A content and the concept of matter. The concept of matter is conceptually sense-dependent upon facts of consciousness, as well as phenomena that are ontologically dependent or reference-dependent upon consciousness. Let me share my screen so this won't like overwhelm some people.
Microsoft
Okay.
Paint time.
Yeah, I could do that too.
That's where I do all my learning.
Let's see here. I'm just going to share. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So much for type A content. Now, let's pass on to type B content, ideas. It should be clear that an idea is meaningless apart from consciousness, but that doesn't tell us much. What about the phenomena that these ideas refer to? Take, for example, several essential ideas contained within the concept of matter. So now, these are going to be old-fashioned ideas, so to speak, namely substantiality, self-sameness, persistence identity through time, and causality. Now, it still works if we just want to switch some of these around, so like fields, whatever, and like particles, whatever you want to call it, all that kind of stuff, it still works. So neither 1, 2, 3, nor 4 are delivered to us via sensations, nor are they qualitative aspects of sensations. Rather, they could only be the product of conscious thought, arising from within and not from without. But this means that 1, 2, 3, and 4 are meaningless and senseless apart from consciousness, thus rendering them conceptually sense-dependent upon consciousness. So by sense-dependence, it has nothing to do with sensations. Sense-dependence, as opposed to reference-dependence, are two particular epistemic relationships between concepts. Reference-dependence is ontological in scope, while sense-dependence is reference-dependent. Sense-dependence is epistemic in scope. So if X is sense-dependent upon Y, that's now, so we can continue. So we now see, to explain the existence of consciousness as so this is key, explanation, that's key. So this is nothing to do with ontology at present. So we now see that to explain the existence of consciousness as a byproduct of a substantive, self-same, persisting, and causally efficacious matter would be to explain the existence of consciousness in terms of facts pertaining to consciousness and acts of consciousness. So much for type B content. Matter, as a concept, is thereby meaningless apart from facts of consciousness. But what about the concept of consciousness in relation to the concept of matter?
Hey.
Matter has no meaning apart from consciousness, for we have seen that there's an asymmetrical relation of sense dependence between matter and facts of consciousness. On the other
Go
hand,
over that sense dependency between
sure.
matter. Yeah, because I don't know.
Let me actually pull up a article about it.
Okay, so it is. I guess I'm not exactly understanding the claim. So the claim is that we can't understand matter without the understanding of, you know,
facts of consciousness.
Yeah,
so to speak.
sense of consciousness.
So let me just pull up a blank document and post this. Oh, shit. Okay. So if P is sense dependent upon Q, then one cannot understand P without understanding Q. And if P is reference dependent upon Q, then there cannot be P without Q. The former is a kind of epistemological dependence, whereas the latter is a kind of ontological dependence. So Robert Brandom, an analytic philosopher, he came up with this distinction. And so yeah, he says one can have sense dependence without reference dependence. And something can be reciprocally sense dependent without holding that two things are in any way reference dependent. So you can be a conceptual idealist without being an ontological idealist. And you can hold that reality, in the sense of the concepts that we use to describe it, are meaningless apart from thought relations and concepts that we construct in consciousness. However, that does not mean that the world ceases to exist apart from consciousness. So this is strictly, the way that I'm using sense dependence here has to do with the nature of the conceptual content that fills our concept of matter. So all this has to do with explanation. So it's essentially you'd be running into a vicious circle if you try to explain matter, if you try to explain facts of consciousness or the fact of consciousness in terms of matter, because you'd be explaining matter in terms of facts of consciousness and ideas derived from facts of consciousness. But if this is a bit much, I actually, at work today, I came up with this other argument that's only a simple paragraph long, and I think it's fairly easy to understand. Let me just make another document and paste.
Okay. Yeah, no, because I mean, I get the idea of sense dependency, you know, in general. I guess I'm just not quite saying why it needs to be apparently the case that matter, is it, you're just arguing that our perception of matter is dependent on our perception?
The concept of matter.
Right.
So whenever we try to explain like consciousness in terms of a concept, so for example, matter, I mean, now it's essentially immaterial when you really think about it, like these fields and stuff. I mean, these are all abstractions that we derive from empirical, concrete experience. They are certainly sense dependent upon facts of experience. Now, whether or not the reference of these concepts are reference dependent upon facts of experience, that's another thing. However, if you try to explain, I don't know, essentially the existence of, I don't know, like the non-ego, so to speak, in terms of the ego, or the ego in terms of the non-ego, I mean, you're going to ultimately result in a kind of vicious circularity. So the same thing is true, though.
If I were to put this in simpler terms, if I'm understanding this correctly, essentially you're unable to explain material processes without first appealing to consciousness.
Right. You're going to be invoking concepts which have that are either, well, you're going to be invoking concepts which have their content exhausted by phenomena that are
I consider myself an
subject.
idealist, but the only problem I take with this argument is that, like, could somebody not just say that, okay, sure, we cannot explain material processes without appealing to consciousness, but that's just simply our limitations, like our epistemological limitations.
Right.
Like, there's problems with, like, so you could say, like, oh, okay, like, I can't absolutely certainly know for sure that this be the case, but that doesn't necessarily disprove it either.
Exactly. You're totally right. This is why I'm strictly speaking about explanations at the present.
Okay.
I do have
So do you not agree with ontological idealism?
Oh, I do. I do agree. But I'm strictly
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
for now we're not
skimming the surface right now. Since I mean I have other arguments that strictly apply to physicalism and dualism, things like that. But now I think it's just for the sake of it. I mean, we might as well just tackle the concept of matter and just explanation generally. So this one is very simple. So if I think most of you here will probably agree with this, at least with the premises. The conclusion, that's another thing. So it's essentially this. If it is the case that our perceptual knowledge has for its content this epistemically real world of concrete experience. So forget right now like a thing in itself or anything of that sort, like a Kantian noumenon, or just think of yourself as a direct realist or even a like an indirect realist. The same thing applies. Just what I am perceiving right here is real. It's colored, whatever. Just think, be naive about it. That's perfectly fine. Just adhere to common sense. So if it has for its content this empirically real world of concrete experience, and that our conceptual knowledge is exhausted by abstractions from our perceptual knowledge, it follows that any genuine explanation as to the emergence of subjectivity from the absence of subjectivity or the reduction of subjectivity to that which is lacking in subjectivity is in principle impossible. So let me demonstrate this one. This is why this is the
Guys,
case.
I gotta head out.
Sure.
Peace out, Dan.
I'm
you, buddy.
gonna watch this later. I'm gonna rewatch what you're talking about.
All right, bye, man.
This can be demonstrated in the following way. Every act of perception has two correlative aspects, a percipient subject and a perceived object. Perception without either one of the two is meaningless and absurd.
Right.
Now, in the perceptual act, the perceived object necessarily has the property of being perceived by a subject. Now, it is necessarily the case that this is so, because if it was not necessary for the object to necessarily have the property of being perceived by a subject, that would mean it would be possible for a perceived subject, or sorry, a perceived object to be perceived and not be perceived at the same time and in the same respect. And this is a contradiction. Therefore, we are driven to the conclusion that every perceived object, as it appears while being perceived by a percipient subject, has no being apart from its being perceived by said percipient subject. Now, if it is the case that our perceptual knowledge is of perceived objects, and that our conceptual knowledge is exhausted by abstractions therefrom, it follows that our conceptual knowledge is exhausted by objects that have neither meaning nor being apart from their being perceived by a percipient subject. However, this means that any attempt to genuinely explain the emergence of subjectivity from the absence of subjectivity, or to reduce subjectivity, to that which is lacking in subjectivity, is in principle impossible. For subjectivity cannot be genuinely explained in terms of any objects of perception or any conceivable objects, or reduced to any of their activities or affections for that matter, because said objects presuppose for both their meaning and existence the very subjectivity said objects are tasked with genuinely explaining. Indeed, such an explanation would be viciously circular and get us nowhere. As it is the case that no genuine explanation can be viciously circular, okay, it follows that you cannot explain subjectivity in terms of that which is other than subjectivity. So you might be wondering why it is the case that we cannot appeal to like an object of perception, so anything that is perceived by us, and say, well, why can't we say that it is this thing right here that I'm perceiving, like a human brain, let's say, that is the cause of subjectivity? The problem is this: that thing you're perceiving has color, has shape, texture, solidity, softness, has a particular odor, it has a particular taste, whatever. All of these properties, well, also I want to add perspectival character. So it has a particular perspective. For example, this looks like a square from this angle. From this angle, it looks like a rectangle, whatever. From this angle, it looks like also like a kind of flat, squarish looking thing. From this angle, it looks like a diamond, whatever. Perspectival character, gestalt constitution, these, and aesthetic quality, all of these properties of objects are subject dependent and subject relative. They have no being apart from a subject. And whenever we try to point out an empirical object, such as this coaster, it has these properties. Now, try to conceive of a coaster, or anything for that matter, which has neither a perspectival character, neither an aesthetic quality, so neither black, white, whatever, and no gestalt form or particular kind of figure or shape or whatever, and has neither taste, smell, texture, whatever. It doesn't make a sound. Nothing we find in experience has those properties. The only things that we encounter in experience have those subject dependent and subject relative properties. So if we were to say, we would have to explain subjectivity in terms of something we have never experienced before, and something which our concepts cannot even, well, essentially the concept that we're trying to explain subjectivity in terms of has no conceptual content because we've never experienced empirically the very thing that we would need to depend upon for an explanation of subjectivity. Like, for example, if you were to say, well, my brain is the cause of my subjectivity. Well, it can either be the brain, it can't be the brain that you find in experience, because that brain would itself be colored, have a particular texture, shape, whatever, and all of those features essentially are dependent upon a subject. So your brain, if it does indeed generate subjectivity, is itself something totally inconceivable to you. You'll never be able to conceive it in principle because it is neither taste, shape, texture, color, whatever. These properties are essential to objects of perception, yet we cannot eliminate them in the abstract. So that's just, it's similar to the previous argument, but not totally. So what are your thoughts about this?
I was about to say, like this is getting a little long-winded. Can we wrap this conversation up?
Yeah.
Oh, this whole conversation. So I think that so I guess what I'm thinking is that the only reason it's subjective isn't because of anything material about the object itself. The reason it's subjective is because in order to perceive something, it presupposes a subjective nature, right? So I don't think that
I use subject and object very differently.
Okay.
So object, I just mean that which is present to and for me in knowledge. So, I mean, this coaster is an object. The blueness of this mouse pad is an object. This, I don't know, basically just anything that is present to and for me. And the subject and subjectivity. So by subjectivity, I just mean the fact of there being subjects, knowing subjects. So it doesn't mean like blueness, whatever. I mean like just the fact of there being a knower. That's all I mean. So I don't mean by subjectivity what is typically, I take the old-fashioned route by subjectivity, not this modern 21st century and 20th century stuff.
Right.
So P.I., what I actually want to discuss with you is this whole mind-body dualism thing. So even if you take an immaterialist position, it would seem, obviously you do believe the mind exists.
Mm-hmm.
And even if the body materially doesn't exist, the concept of one's body exists in the reality that we are perceiving. And so even if you don't believe that your body is part of your existence, like I guess I don't know if I'm going to use this word correctly, ontologically speaking. If it's not part of your existence, it is still something within the realm of the reality that which we experience that my mind is controlling. So even if you say it's like, you don't have to take the position that the body, like a materialist position, in that the body actually exists, just that within the framework of what we're operating through, the body is what we experience, that there is a body that we are controlling.
Mhm.
So I that's like I don't know what your like issue with like that kind of dualism would be.
Let's see. So it comes down to this. There's actually a very interesting argument made by McTaggart. So J.M.E. McTaggart, very famous British idealist, who in his basically a little book published in 1915, I think, titled Human Immortality and Pre-Existence. And McTaggart was an immaterialist. He didn't believe in matter. He believed that selves or persons were essentially immortal,
loving each other, right? Like
yeah.
I know like I know the basics of like his metaphysics.
And basically, in this little book, he gives several arguments for the in favor of the belief and against the denial of immortality. And what he does is he goes on to show that we have no justification for believing in matter. That's one thing. Two, we have no justification for believing that cells are activities of our bodies. And three, we have no justification for viewing the self, like bodily death, as the end. And we have no justification for viewing the self as something with parts or is composed, whatever. He doesn't give any real positive arguments for immortality in it, but he says that it's very possible, just from this alone, that just because we can easily dispense with the just a priori denial of immortality, that it's out of the question. But I think when we speak of consciousness or mind, we shouldn't speak of mind as merely just the subject, or as something like a one-sided aspect of a person. Because just what is an I, like, by itself? I mean, it's a pure abstraction. I mean, David Hume couldn't find it because it was a pure abstraction. It needs content. It needs some kind of object. That's why the synthesis of subject and object, knower and known, is always essential, an essential component of mentality or a mind. That's why, since the body is just merely an object among other objects, no different from just this poster here, it's not really essential. All you need is just content and a subject, and that's
so even if it's non-essential, that doesn't, like, within the like framework of the reality that we experience, it's here. I have, like, even if actually I think the existence of it as just another object is beneficial to my argument, because if it's just another object, then then there would be no reason for the rules of ownership to not apply to it as well, which is so like I still don't see like how this like is. I think that actually like further separates the mind from the body. It's saying like the body is just an object, and our mind happens to, I guess you could say, I don't want to use the wrong word here, but inhabits the body.
Yeah,
and
sure.
that we are
so it's connected somehow. We don't really know.
There's some sort of metaphysical link, right?
Yeah.
In between the mind and the body. So I still think this is separating the existence of the mind from the existence or non-existence of the body. Even if it's like if the body is an immaterial concept that is within the logic of our minds, it's still something that which means that the body is not the mind, which means that it is something else.
Let's think of it this way. So what is your body other than just sensations? Sensations of color, texture.
Well, I'll give you that explanation.
Yeah.
I'll give you the explanation that it is just sensation.
It's an object among other objects. Because I mean, what's this mouse any more than just sensations? And a logical construct of sensation, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing. So I missed your very early question about the
my
mind-body
point
split.
is, so if you're so like, you wouldn't say that your mind is the same is the mouse, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm saying if your body is just the same as the mouse, then your body is not your mind. It's something separate
Correct.
from the body. So this would be in line with the position argumentation ethics takes, which is that the mind controls the body, and therefore or not therefore, but essentially the mind controls the body. It is the owner of the body. I'm not going to go through like the whole line.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
I mean,
that was my. I didn't know if like your contention was that like because I know
Oh, yeah.
like, before you joined, you said that it seemed to presuppose a dualism, and I'm like, yes, but I don't think this is
Methodological dualism. That's
right.
what it
I don't
was.
think
like
this is
as opposed to a substance
okay.
dualism of sorts.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's, from this standpoint, there's nothing wrong with arguing for self-ownership from this standpoint.
Okay, that's
or
that's
anything
kind of
of
what
that
I
sort.
was. That's kind of what I was trying to get at. I didn't think there should be, at least. But
So black people, am I right?
Yeah,
So
that's what I got
true.
from this.
So true, Slater.
All I got from this is that black people don't exist, and that's why. It's
Well,
called
if matter
idealism.
doesn't exist, then
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
That's
I
why
mean,
it's called
obviously,
idealism. It's
obviously, like the color,
it's the only
the color black is a secondary property which must concede to primary properties which don't exist either, meaning that black people
Either
do in
them.
fact not exist.
And that's why it's called idealism, because it's ideal.
Okay.
Oh my god.
And so unoptical.
Oh my god.
Man, Jesus Christ, buddy, cool it.
No, yeah. Sorry.
But in that same vein of reasoning, white people don't exist either.
Oh no. Oh. Necessary sacrifice, I guess.
Which means the Holocaust didn't happen because Jews don't exist.
Well, I mean, that didn't happen for different reasons. But like 6 million? That's
It was more like 200,000.
So
All
true.
right, guys. I go as far as racism in my optics. I don't go to Holocaust denial. I
So
stick
true.
with the classical racism.
Classical liberalism? I think you mean classical racism.
But Pan, why are you a minarchist though? That's the real question.
Because I don't like government, but I'm okay with the little one.
Why?
Threshold
it doesn't seem
deontology
that
moment.
bad. It doesn't seem that bad to have like a small one. I think there's some things that.
Hey,
Why is it more preferable to a stateless society?
Size doesn't matter. It just matters that it exists.
Why doesn't?
No, but
yeah,
why is it
whatever
more?
your
Why is it
preference
more preferable to a stateless society?
Well, there's. I guess. I don't know. I'm skeptical of how completely anarchic.
You should be skeptical of catching these hands, Pan. That's the only thing that should be
Have
worrying
you
your
read
mind.
Chaos Theory or something?
I have
Like
not.
Anatomy of the State. You should.
I
It's really
will.
short, but you
Okay,
should.
yeah. Because like I mean.
I wouldn't really recommend Anatomy of the State. It's pretty normy, to be honest. But
Yeah, but
guess.
Pan's a.
That's true. Pan is a block of bricks. So.
Okay.
Go and read Nozick, and then go and read Rothbard's review of Nozick, and then read Ankablich.
Oh, dude, I literally. So the Journal of Libertarian Studies, which is run by Kinsella, I have at least 15 papers shredding Nozick to pieces. It's just because the logical. If you were to take his presuppositions and his conclusions to like their actual logical conclusions, you go far beyond just like this minarchal government. I haven't actually read them, but that's the general premise is that, and so I did read some of a Nozikian, I guess you could say, Nozikite, whatever, response to one of these, and then I read the response of the response, and it just seemed really insufficient. I think, and a lot of it comes down to his interpretation of the Lockean proviso and stuff like that, but.
No, that his interpretation of Locke's proviso is trash. But
That's-
in
that was my
general,
point.
most people see libertarianism as beginning and ending with Nozick. If you talk to most people, most people I talk to when I bring up libertarianism, they only know who Nozick is and they only know the arguments from Nozick. It's quite unbelievable.
Yeah. I guess I'm thinking the reason I don't want anarchy is because I guess I don't think that voluntariness is the only thing I'm looking for. I guess I want a society that
Give a
enables
consequential
or
argument then.
Yeah, he's a utilitarian.
I'm a consequentialist. So.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, you can give a consequential argument. Then. That's fine.
Status based Alec.
Okay. So I guess what I want from a society isn't something that just
He's a filthy hedonist, Sam.
I'm a vague hedonist. Like, I don't disagree with Zane's idea that some pleasures are objectively more valuable than others, right? Like, I don't disagree with Zane's thing that, oh, a pleasure machine is a lesser type of, a lesser, I guess, category than.
No, I just think no. I just think pleasure is a chemical response. I don't think it's like I don't think that pleasure ought to be strived for, because I think that there are I don't think that pleasure is the ultimate end. I think that pleasure is just a simple a chemical emotion that is released. I don't think that and therefore, and I think that if you were to just hook yourself up
Rick
to
and Morty check.
When you say
sorry. Go ahead.
Let's just say, when you say you're a hedonist, are you making an a moral anti-realist argument? Are you making a normative argument? Are you just saying that people should pursue their pleasure? Or are you saying that when I make the claim X is good, I'm saying X is pleasurable? So is it like cognitivism versus non-cognitivism? What exactly do you mean by hedonism?
Well, I mean, I never called myself a hedonist.
No, I just call him a hedonist because that's what he is.
That's Zane label. I think in a vague term, I think that happiness can be understood as, I guess, pleasure with the absence of pain. Now, what pleasure is, I don't think it has to be simply a chemical thing. I think that, if it would, Zane preferred, then it would be, maximization of eudaimonia, which I know isn't exactly something you can say.
You don't maximize eudaimonia.
Yeah, I know.
Eudaimonia is a state of being.
I know. That's why I said I know it doesn't fit perfectly, but that
it doesn't fit perfectly because it's wrong. Because it's not something. It's not like it's not like so like pleasure. So like I experienced a little bit of pleasure today. I felt a little bit of pain today, so I'm gonna avoid that this time. But that's not necessarily like an argument about like pleasure is something fleeting, right? It's just like I can experience pleasure today, but not tomorrow. Does that mean that yesterday was necessarily better than today?
Okay, what word should I use if not pleasure? Because I don't think it needs to necessarily be the case that the thing I'm talking about in a hedonist relationship needs to be just like the chemicals, like the dopamine. I don't see a reason why.
Okay, then what are you basing it off of?
Whatever.
And even if you're not basing it off of that, again, like this is something that it's incalculable. So for you to make a prescriptive argument on a mass scale about like, oh, I'm going to do this because this will maximize the utility. Let's just say utility. You don't have to put a label on it. Just say utility for the sake of the argument. You were to say, I suppose that this will maximize the utility for this amount of people. How do you know that?
No, I don't think you can know that.
Okay, then why are you operating from essentially your entire framework is operating off of the assumption that you can?
I don't think that's necessarily true, right? Like the reason
I want to maximize utility for the most amount of people, but I have no way of knowing that I'm maximizing utility for the most amount of people.
The way I think of maximizing
Do you see how
utility
stupid that sounds?
No, but the way I would go about maximizing utility for the most amount of people is giving people the freedom to, do with their lives what they want to, right? That way, because wants and values are subjective.
Okay, so you do believe in a voluntary. You do believe in a voluntary society, then?
I value voluntariness. I wouldn't say it's the only thing I believe in. But
Okay,
yes,
so
but
what is your normative justification for the state, though?
My normative justification for the state, I mean, there's some things that states can do, and I'm not convinced that anarchy can do. I'm worried that anarchy will devolve into a sort of like
Leviathan. What
I feel like it would devolve into you know how like when the word anarchy is in
I'm worried that
popular
states
culture,
will because we so
right,
while we
I know
haven't
states
listed
will. I know states will, right?
Okay,
like,
then wait.
I'm not disagreeing, but I think that if anarchy goes like I'm worried about anarchy going further back. Like
what's the worst? Oh my god. what's the worst that happens is like, okay, a state okay, so like the worst thing that happens, right, is a state is formed, which you're operating off of the assumption
but
that you want
there's
a state. So
right,
that's
right,
like,
but there's different degrees of badness of a state, right? I can tolerate some sorts of states.
okay, but
Like
Pam,
I think that
so
states such
hold
as
on.
like
So
We
but
keep using the word tolerate, right? We're not talking about what you can tolerate. Right? You can
Yeah.
tolerate living in the Soviet Union if you need to. The point is,
Well,
give us a counterfactual, right?
well, right, but okay, obviously, if in the perfect ideal, everything would obviously be voluntary. Like there's no reason to not, if it's an ideal situation, then you could just choose for.
If you
But
don't have
I'm
an
telling
argument,
you,
you can
I'm
say,
telling
right?
you, I'm
There's
at-
nothing wrong with just saying I don't have an argument because I just haven't thought about it, right?
But
Yeah,
Pan, what
you
I'm
can just say
saying,
that.
what I'm saying here, Pan,
I
is,
don't have an
hold
argument
on,
'cause I
give me a second, Pan. Is you can say well, I personally would prefer to have a state because X and Y, right? Because I think that anarchy has a higher probability based off of whatever conceptions you've got in here, whether they have any founding or not. You've got these preconceptions about the idea of a stateless society. So you say, well, I want a state. You still have to like normatively justify its existence. You can't just say, well, because I don't care if there's a little bit of involuntariness. If you say voluntariness is something that should be achieved, it's something that but you say that there is other things that it is that you like normatively want. What are those other things and why? Like justify them. Justify the existence of those things is what I'm saying. I'm not just like asking you. I'm not asking you like why you want it. I'm asking you to justify it.
You're asking, okay, so you want me to justify all the things that I think can. So I guess one of the things that I want to state for is for.
I don't care what you want to state for.
No, I know, but I can this one I think is
okay. Go ahead.
The most easy to justify for like some sort of environmental protection, so that if you pollute, you also have to contribute to because you're imposing a negative externality on a lot of people, and you're essentially violating their property rights.
So you just solved it, right? You're violating their property rights.
Right,
so
but
why
I don't
would they
think
not
that
be
can
able?
be. So I don't think that it can be reasonably. I don't think that adjudication or legal adjudication is a plausible solution to that problem because it's almost impossible to show liability, right?
But the state can do it.
The state can put restrictions on the emissions, right? If you put restrictions
Wait,
on
but
the
if the
emissions,
state
yes,
that the
that's
state can
possible.
put restrictions on the first of all, you would have to justify that putting restrictions on the emissions would actually be the would actually provoke would be actually util maximizing, which you've already stated that you can't do. Because again, there's more complex stuff going on here than this company has emissions and therefore this is going to contribute to such and such and such things. There's a lot of quote unquote and you already know my position on the general the idea of scientism in general, but there's a lot of science going on here, a lot of conflicting opinions, and it's not just this company is again, it's your whole position is based off of, well, if we were to restrict these emissions, that would be util maximizing, but you can't prove
No,
that.
I'm not saying we need to restrict. I'm not saying completely restrict them, right?
Okay, but what are you saying?
I agree that pollution is bad. However, I think that I want a system where when people pollute, the negative externalities that they have they compensate for them. They pre-compensate, I guess, is a way of saying it.
Pre-compensate. What does
So
that
I'm not
mean?
saying it means that if you want to. Okay, so it means that if you want to emit, there's nothing barring you from emitting, right? There's nothing barring you from polluting as much as you want. However, every time you do, you have to basically pay into a general fund to compensate for the negative externalities that you are imposing on other people, right?
And so you think that that cannot be okay, so but my entire point here is that you're saying the existence of this negative externality, you said that in the private arbitrage or whatever would not be able to identify that, whereas a state can. These are all just people. These are all just proximate causes, people just saying
no, a state can enforce it, right? Because they have a monopoly on violence.
Oh my God. But if you're
I
literally
don't think
saying
a state can identify it,
Pan,
right?
Well, okay, if you can't identify it, then you can't say that it's a violation. If you can't if you can't identify the initiation, then how do you retaliate against it? Then you're saying willy nilly. Well, I think this person's is polluting this person's property, so ban
No,
him.
you can. A lot of the pollution is very evenly distributed.
Okay.
Basically,
So my point being, so if you view it as a Pan, but my point is, if you view it as a violation of property rights, that means it is an initiation of force, which means that all you need to combat that is retaliatory force, which can be handled by you don't.
Yeah, your
need-
problem is just with ANCAT with just private law in general, not just like that's your issue because like if it's a violation of force, you just don't think that a violation of rights can be retaliated.
Yeah, that's essentially what you're saying.
Right.
And it's just
Well,
like, but hold on, Pan. Let me before you go. I'm just gonna set forth like So like your whole point here is that like, well, that the government will handle it best, right? And I think that's an unfounded idea. And it's like, again, if you you either have to say that it has an initiation of force, not just retaliatory force, or it doesn't. If it doesn't have initiatory force, then there's nothing stopping other like you could say like, okay, so you could say the city of Talupa government, and they have like these laws. There's nothing stopping another agency from rising up and saying, hey, if you want to use us to enforce your property rights, you can do so too. And the existence of that means that, okay, if X company is polluting, but because they're lining the pockets of the city of Talupa government, whatever, they don't enforce the rights, right? And there's no existence of because they have a monopoly and because they have initiation of force, they have a monopoly on the initiation of force. There's no way for a competing agency to come about who can actually properly enforce those rights.
No,
so
well,
all it comes down to is
contained to the city of Talupa.
Okay.
So yeah, how is it like? Let's say if it turns out that pollution.
The burden of
Detroit,
so if there's an initiation
right, but the burden of proof.
I'm sorry,
it's unrealistic to expect people to be able to prove, post pollution where their pollution came from, right?
But why can the state do it?
The state can't do it, but they can regulate the emissions. You don't need to know where it goes. You can just assume that it is basically distributed evenly, right? If you put a cost on the cost of emitting, I don't know, that can depend on the social system. So the city of Talupa could be the one to set the the cost for emitting X amount of carbon dioxide. Like I'm okay with that, right?
But then
it can only be dealt with.
So that's hold on.
It can't be addressed as a problem on property rights.
But Pan, yeah, well, it can be addressed as a problem of property rights. There's so many solutions. Like I don't particularly like the Coase theorem, but there's so many different solutions that like address like this as through like a property rights foundation. You're just not open to them because you're skeptical of them. But hold on, let me. But again, it's like still, even if you say that's something that you want, you still have to be able to justify its existence, on I guess you would say ethical grounds. But my point being here is that even if you hold on, I was going to say something. Somebody just messaged me, so
yeah, I don't have to justify what I want on ethical grounds.
Yes, you do.
By the very nature of what me wanting it, I can explain that to you, right?
You can explain what you want, but that doesn't mean we ought to have it.
I never said you did.
Okay, then why are you defending the position if you don't?
Because it's what I would want.
Okay, but if you can't justify why we should have that system, I don't care.
Well, I think I can justify it.
But you just said you didn't have to.
This entire conversation has been you saying, "Oh, it's my opinion," and it's like, "But do you have a positive justification?" And then you kind of quibbling a little bit, and then kind of saying you would, but you haven't really. So like, what do you do?
Do I have a positive justification?
Yeah, give me a reason to believe that we should have a state. Very, very clearly. There you go.
Thing is, I don't know. I guess I can't really give a great.
Yeah. So my past comment.
I'm already skeptical of an anthem cap.
Yeah. So
I can't.
But skepticism isn't like an ethical position.
Sure, it is. It is under consequentialism. If you don't think something's going to happen, then you can oppose it because you don't think it's going to have the desired result, right? Skepticism. If we're talking about probability, and I'm skeptical of one system working, I can completely.
You're talking about hypothetical imperatives now. You're not
So-
talking
so-
about.
You can distinguish between something that seems to be the case and something that is actually justified in being the case, right? So I can, if I hold a pencil and I put it in water, it refracts, so it looks like the pencil's broken in half. So it seems like it's the case. You can be skeptical of an opinion or not, but you're seeming, right? It's not a justified opinion.
Yes.
Right.
If you guys, If you guys are right, and that a voluntary society is able to account for all of these problems, then yes, I agree. My skepticism would be
So,
unfounded if that's the
I was
well,
correct
maybe
to
not
begin with.
unfounded. What do you mean you were correct? Yeah.
I said there was no argument to begin with, and I was correct by the looks of it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so. Because I don't disagree that. It's like communism. It sounds great in theory.
This is why I said go and read Nozick, because the whole point of Nozick is Nozick says right, we need to come up with a positive justification for the state. So assuming you like Locke. Well, that's what the whole point of the first of the book.
I feel like from my perspective,
we have to argue our way out of anarchy. So the first third is how do we argue out of it, right?
I think it's the opposite.
Have I been using positive and normative wrong? I've been using positive as positive claims are descriptive and normative are prescriptive. Have I been normative claims or ethical claims?
That's fine. I think that's right.
Okay, sorry. I was like, have I had them switched around this entire time? I was like, if so, I feel like a total ass.
No. That's what I think of when I think normative and positive claims.
Okay, cool.
So
Just making sure.
Yeah. What were we saying?
You weren't saying much.
Okay. I meant. Okay. Yeah. I was talking about why.
Nozick's justification.
Why I don't think that what we need to do is justify. A state. I think what we need to do is justify a smaller state because.
But justifying a smaller state presupposes that you justify a state.
Right.
No, but
there is no
I guess
no.
What I'm
That
saying
is what
is
you're
my
doing.
goal isn't convincing ANCAPs that I'm right. It's convincing statists to decrease the power of the state.
You're a statist.
Okay, bigger statists. Can you agree that there's
but why? Okay, but my point being, Pan,
statism.
there is no degree because you're operating off of abstract concepts. When you're not operating, if you're saying the initiation of force is okay sometimes, this is an abstract concept that in the hands of a monopoly is going to get taken and complete if they have the sole monopoly on not only issuing their law but interpreting their law and enforcing their law. And you're gonna say, well, I'm gonna set this arbitrary line that they can initiate force in these instances, which is exactly what the United States government did when they wrote the United States Constitution. While obviously I'm sure it's not your perfect constitution, and there are things that you would change about that, the general premise of it was that there, for the most part, people should be left to their private property rights and stuff like that. But there is an initiation of force is okay sometimes in these scenarios. And all of these scenarios are completely and totally arbitrary.
Okay, well, we can, if we're talking about degree, though, right? If we have a
degree is arbitrary.
Well, let me finish. If we have a state that can initiate force sometimes, would you agree that that's better than a state that can initiate force all the time?
No, because normatively, initiation of force, I deem is wrong. And under my normative framework, so any initiation of force is wrong. Sure, I could formulate a hypothetical imperative and say that we should seek to minimize this like positively, but under a normative framework, I view that as wrong. I don't care if it's to me it's not less wrong. I don't care. I don't think that's and I don't think less bad, less cancerous is less violation of rights is something to be sought after. If you're going to seek after something which and if your idea is that ANCAP is utopian, I think, well, first of all, I actually have many arguments from the position that minarchy is far more utopian than voluntarism. So if you're already operating off of this position, which is a very, very hard, how do we actually get to minarchy? Obviously you can say, how do you get to voluntarism? But we're just operating off of once you get there, if you're operating from the framework of a system that is very hard to achieve, why should we work so hard to achieve a system that is still bad.
Well, what I'm trying to achieve, and I think of this my ideology in more of a pragmatic terms, is I want to seek the reduction of the state. Now, I guess I would just have to disagree with you.
The only
about
way
there
to
not
seek
being
the
agrees.
reduction, the only way to seek the reduction of the state is to ignore the state in your own personal life.
Agar's Pillman.
I mean, that's a way. I don't think it's the only way. Like, sure, you can do that, but you can't, like, if I was able to get systematic change that, could
Like
go
political
bad.
change?
So you're okay with using political means to achieve political change? So you're okay with initiating force to I guess redirect how the initiation of force is used? That seems kind of contradictory.
What do you mean?
So if you're voting and you're using the political means in order to achieve your ends, you're using the very initiation of force which you're fighting against to fight against.
Well, force
itself.
is right, but it's going to be initiated regardless of what I do, right?
But that doesn't mean you have to contribute to it.
I mean, I don't have to, but if me contributing to it can lessen it, then I should. From my perspective, I should. Right? Even if I have to use force,
but what you're
if I
doing,
have to
but
use
what you're
force
doing,
to prevent
but hold on,
force,
if you're
I'm okay with that.
operating like I said, from operating from my framework, if the initiation of force is bad, then no matter what, because it's not a probability thing. We're not saying it's probable that or because your entire thing is about trying to maximize utils, which you've already stated that you have no way of knowing if you're truly doing. But if you're this is such a terrible
again,
frame.
I think
This
the
is
way
such a
the way I want to maximize utils,
Can
right,
you
is
finish
by.
your sentence, my guy?
Well, you're not letting. Okay, sure. Sorry.
Thank you. So what I'm saying is that if you're operating off of this framework that if you're trying to achieve this society that such and such is bad for whatever arbitrary reason that you've decided, because it's not grounded in anything other than, well, I think this would be util maximizing for whatever reason you've contrived in your mind that is util maximizing, because it's not grounded in anything. It's not a solid concept. It's just, I think this will be util maximizing because your whole framework is abstract. It is arbitrary. But anyways, continue. If I'm going to continue,
I think societies that have been more responsive to individual rights have been more prosperous, right? I don't think that's completely arbitrary. Like, I can't.
That's not
quantify
normative.
The
That's not
prosperity.
normative.
Okay, but I guess I'm not sure I understand.
My point is that even you're essentially I know you would take a different stance on this. Well, okay, so I'm a virtue ethicist, so I guess I don't take a staunch deontology outlook, but it's to me it just the whole concept of utilitarianism is just because it's an abstract concept. Let me try and frame this in the best way possible. It's you can deem things bad, but still use those bad means to try and achieve the ends that you deem good. But the ends that you deem good are not grounded in anything other than you deem them so. And so it's just well, then why should the bad things be avoided as opposed to the good things if we can just use the bad things to try and achieve the good things? It just seems it's not you have no backbone. You have no spine.
Are you talking to a moral realist or a moral anti-realist? I'm curious.
I have no idea.
I wouldn't. I'm definitely not a moral realist.
Right. Okay.
I don't know if I'm a moral anti-realist. I don't. I know I'm not a moral realist. I think that morals. I don't know exactly what morals are, but I know they're not objective.
Right. Okay. So when I say X is good, what do you think I'm saying?
Right back.
When you say X is good,
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a difficult question.
Do you believe that I'm expressing an emotion? Do you believe that I'm expressing something that could be formed in another sentence? So
more like an opinion. You're expressing that you value X.
Right. I mean, but the term good. What does something goodness exist? Does goodness exist, or is goodness another way of saying something else? And if so, what?
Sure. Well, I mean, there are things that I would generally consider good, right? So if you're I guess if you're acting along the things that I would consider good, like so, like if you were to say something like, "Oh, it's good to, I don't know, save a baby from a burning hospital," um, I would agree with you because that also conforms to my idea of what good is. So I think that like,
I mean, like meta. Do you know what meta ethics is?
kind of.
Right. Okay. So
It's like essentially he's saying, does the concept of good like actually exist? Not just I value saving a baby from a hospital.
I create. Yeah. It doesn't exist.
The concept of good is contingent on the subject.
Yes. Yeah. For sure.
There you go.
Because, or maybe not even necessarily the subject, but like a social group. It takes consciousness and stuff.
That's okay. So someone like you would be happy saying that like in the 1700s slavery was moral.
No, because like again, by my standards, which
he's not asking, but you can't impose your standards on other people if you're a moral subjectivist because they have their own standards.
Though.
But you said it was a society that.
Now I think my morality is more correct than their morality.
But that's okay. But you can be different kinds of subjective. So I thought that what type of subjectivist you were talking about. So I thought you said society. I don't know if I misheard you, but you said it's society determines what's moral. So I just gave you an example of society.
Well, I mean, they can. Like I think social groups do. I think that. So
in the context of the 1700s, was slavery moral?
Again, I don't think so. Right, I don't think slavery again because I can't answer that question. It's a question that's unanswerable because I can only.
Okay, Pan. There's a time machine, and then you went back to 1700s. Is slavery?
No, because I don't think that.
But you believe that society deems what is moral and not, and society deemed that was okay.
I believe that society has a point. Or has a part in I don't think morals can exist outside the concept of society.
Linguistically,
not necessarily that society creates morality, but
do you mean the same thing?
Morality can't exist without.
Are you just referring to norms, or are you referring to like what is good? What is it?
No, he doesn't believe good exists.
Well, even if you believe it in a subjective sense.
Yeah, I believe in a subjective sense. Like I think it's good to save babies from burning orphanages.
Cringe. Sorry.
Well, I don't even like that you use the word, like if you're talking in a subjective sense, like I cannot get on board that you do believe in good. You could say I think it's pleasurable. It pleasures me that people save babies from burning hospitals. But I don't
it's preferable to me.
Yeah, you can say it's preferable, but you can't say that it's good. The word good has a very implicit meaning. I think I'm using it right. It has a meaning, right? And good is a concept that is the existence of good. Is a concept that cannot exist dependent upon a subject. So if you believe in subject-dependent morality, you can say something is preferable, but not that something is good. Because I think good is like is a normative thing.
I mean, I feel like maybe I feel like there probably is I'm trying to think of a way to explain what I'm thinking here. Maybe I should stop playing video games and actually try to think this out. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna draw paint to think to myself a little bit. Okay. So if each individual has an idea of what they think morality is, right? Because if I know you don't like me using the word good to describe that, but that's the word I think of when I think of I don't think
everybody has what they deem to be preferable to other things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree, but when someone does something that you call good, I don't feel it as they're just doing something preferable.
I deem that raping the next person I see is preferable. If it's depending on my subjective morals. But it doesn't matter because it's subject dependent. You're not my subject.
No, I
I'm
don't
the
think that
subject.
not everyone's morals are perfectly, or at least we shouldn't
But if
treat
it's
them as equal.
subjective, if it's subjective, okay, so you're appealing to a higher good. You can't appeal to a higher good if it's subject dependent. If there is a higher law that people have to answer to determine whether something is like good
what I'm saying
outside
is
of the subject, which means you believe in the existence of some sort of morality, which means you're not a moral you're not a moral subjectivist. Because if you're saying that one is better than another, subject dependent does not mean you cannot make the normative statement better or worse than somebody else.
One is better.
You can think that it's better, but you thinking it is not normative at all. It doesn't actually make what I did worse than what you did. Because if it's subject dependent, I think what I did was better. Why is what you think better than what I think?
But I'm gonna treat you different. I'm gonna treat you based on my standard, right? So if you rape someone,
you can treat me however you want. You can treat me however you want to treat me.
But that's what I think morals are, right? They're ways, they're guiding behavior. Like actions on themselves aren't completely able to.
Why is raping somebody bad? Why is it not preferable to you? Why is that?
They don't want to be raped.
Why is that preferable to you to not rape somebody?
Well, because I think that their opinion is completely,
Why?
Why? Because that's the moral framework I've adopted. I can't validate my moral framework.
Yes, you have to.
How? I don't think you can, though. I don't think anyone can.
I would disagree that nobody can. I do think it can at times be difficult. I do think that at times it can be difficult.
How would you do it then? How would you?
I'm not. I don't take a moral realist or an anti-realist position because I haven't done enough to. I'm going to read Michael Humer's book on moral intuitionism. But yeah, but I do believe that if you're operating from the framework of it being subjective, you can't make the claims that you're making. I'm not. Go ahead.
Do you think we can make epistemic claims?
Such as?
Sorry, Pan. Do you think we can make epistemic claims? Just a quick question.
Yeah. Well, can you give me an example?
I am holding a bottle of Pepsi. Yeah. So do you have an epistemology? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a companioning guild argument before? Yes or no?
No. What's
that was a
guild argument?
So in contemporary metaethics, it's basically a set of debates that if you deny the idea that if you deny goodness as existing as a property itself, or if you deny moral realism, then it puts you in a position whereby there are lots of epistemic statements which you would think you can make, which you can't make in virtue of your metaethical position. So it's I get their entire books on this now. So there was a massive debate where if you think that it's not possible for us to have basically any ethical position, then it puts you in some esoterically philosophical way in a position where you can't justify any reason to know anything. It was only supposed to be quick questions. I don't want to know if you knew about it. It's quite a big topic.
I understand. It would probably, no, I don't know that much about it. Let's see. I'm curious. How would anyone go about arguing rape is wrong if you don't just make a claim? The reason I think that it's rape is wrong, and society has agreed with me that rape is wrong.
What if society didn't agree with you?
Well, then I would be against it.
Right? Okay, you would be against society, but it would still be moral, according to society. You can think that it's wrong based off of your own framework, but again, if you think that other people should have to appeal to your framework, you're appealing to a higher good.
I want to convince them to adhere to my framework, right? I'd want to convince them that, hey, you're going to be better off if you appeal.
But what is your justification for these things? What is your justification for these things?
So if we've got I guess my justification would be like this: if we got two people that want competing wants, right? I'd say that the way to resolve those competing wants about who gets what is to try to find a way that maximizes the benefit to both of them, right? And obviously, that's done generally. it's not done by simply killing the other person. I think that you should try to convince them that, hey, if we adhere to this moral rule, for example, the rule of treating others like you yourself want to be treated, if we can agree that we want to both
That's not a
abide
rule.
by.
That's a principle.
Okay, principle. Principle, rule. I feel like they're kind of similar. Moral.
They can
What's
be
the difference
similar,
between
but
a moral
words
rule? What's
mean
the difference
things.
between a moral rule and a moral principle?
A rule, something that cannot be broken. A principle, a general guideline.
I mean, but it can be. If we agree it's a rule, then it's a rule, right? If we agree that you're immoral if
Then
you
say
do
it's
this.
a rule. Then say it's a rule. Don't say it's a. Don't say. But treat others how you want to be treated. That's very vague.
Okay, yeah. That's
vague.
That's a
also
big,
pretty
that's
problematic. Like, let's say I was the strongest man on the planet, and I could just say, I want it to be so that whoever wins the most armor.
Treat others how you want to be treated. I don't care about getting raped, so I'm gonna rape you.
Right. It's pretty problematic.
Okay.
But Zane, is that
So,
true?
well, yeah, it's a vague principle. It's a vague principle. Like, I agree. It's probably not the best example. It's just what first came.
But
to my
the
mind.
point, the
It's
reason
just
I
what
point
first
that
came
out,
to my mind.
the
right?
reason that I point that out, and you do this a lot, is you're like, well, I think pleasure and happiness are the same thing. I think rule and principle they're similar, but like words mean things. Right, and we're having a conversation and we're conveying meanings, we're putting pictures in each other's minds, and the reason that we're able to have a conversation
I
is
just
because we
want a
have
clarification.
an accepted meaning behind the words that I'm speaking right now. But
Yeah, I just want a
if you say
clarification behind that.
something, so I'm just saying, like, that's
No, I agree. I'm not
Okay.
against you asking for definitions or telling me to use the right word. Like, I think that's fine. I honestly
Interesting.
didn't know whether you would call it a rule or principle. If you want to you explained what you believe rule to be and what you believe principle to be, and okay, yeah, then I seems to be more of a principle, at least in this case. So I'm not trying to argue with your words. I was just trying to clarify. I don't care what words we use. I agree. I just want to get the picture across.
Nah, speaking as a lawyer, you don't use your words carefully enough.
Me?
Yeah, he's talking to you, Ben.
Well, I don't. There are certain contexts where I use my words carefully. Zoom chats aren't typically one of them.
But anyways, continue on with what you were saying.
Yeah. So okay. So I guess I see morality as kind of like.
But so essentially, you're getting back to this core
Yeah, I
principle
know, but
of
I don't know what
util
else.
maximization.
Right.
But you can't. What if I rape somebody, that provides me with more utility than it deteriorates from them?
Right. Okay. So the answer that utilitarians have for this is that the denial of pleasure is not the same as the denial or the minimization of pain, right?
Why? Some utilitarians would say that the minimization of pain
Some
is.
do.
I mean, the very first or hedonist, I guess you could say, lived a completely ascetic lifestyle, so as to not to seek pleasure, but to minimize pain. Why do you hold maximization of pleasure to be less than minimizing of pain? And even then, these are really, like, I guess, scalar terms.
Well,
Is it 2 times more? Is it 2 times more? Is it
You can
3
only
times more?
quantify your own. You can only quantify your own.
If I get 3 times more pleasure than they receive in pain, is that justifiable? At what point is it
No,
justifiable?
you can't do interpersonal comparisons like that.
Okay,
Right.
so then how can you make this principle?
No, but it's just
say that
So I agree that there are epistemic
you're defeating
limits
yourself.
to
You're
enforcing.
defeating yourself right now, Pan. Yes,
There are
you are.
epistemic limits to enforcing this principle, but that doesn't mean that the principle itself isn't what I'm going for, right? If what I am going for is utility.
I don't want a stateless society, because I think there will be problems of enforcing pollution, but I don't even think I can enforce my own framework, right?
I don't think frameworks are okay. So yeah, I'll admit I don't have a great reason not to be ANCAP. I haven't really spent much time considering that, because generally in my experience, what my goal, I'm not the statist, I'm the person who wants less government. So from social contexts I've been interacting in, it hasn't been needed. The argument has been to reduce state. So
I'm gonna defend him here. I was the same. I was the same until like a week ago. It was just that I had never really properly considered the arguments for and against it, and I didn't have an opinion on it. It's just I said.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, to be fair, like, the only thing I really have considered about it is that it's unoptical. At least it seems to be from my experience trying to communicate with people who are more statist than me. They are much more receptive to the shrinking of government than the complete
I mean, there's nothing
abolition.
wrong
So,
with.
I guess optically. No, I'm just trying to explain why I haven't really,
Yeah, but I'm saying like okay, so you
answer,
can.
right?
There's nothing wrong with like LARPing as a minarchist if you're talking to a neo.
I don't know if I'm
right?
LARPing.
No, I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
Theoretically, if you were to like, kind of like say that it would. Okay, I think that ANCAP is correct, but optically, I need to. There's nothing wrong with them LARPing as a minarchist to get to people to that position, and then you can do what me and you just did, and we can have a conversation, and then trying to bridge that gap. There's nothing wrong with like, because these are just ideas. You're not putting these concepts into place. That's the you're pushing for these policies rather than just the concepts, right? So you can, if you're talking about concepts, getting people to this idea of limited state and then getting them away from that idea is a whole lot easier. But you're actually like, you're saying that this is what you want to achieve, which is something completely different.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know what the end goal that I want is. I think it'd probably be a lot clearer
For somebody that is so vehemently critical of ANCAPs, maybe you should know what your own end goal is.
I'm not vehemently critical.
I think you are. I think you. Well, at least I know you're like joking a lot of the time when you come into like chats and Discord and and stuff like that. But at the same time, what's the there's a saying I'm looking for here. It's essentially like, don't push somebody without expecting to get pushed back.
Oh no, I expect to get pushed back.
But
I am very much enjoying the conversation. Don't worry.
I can't think of the term right now. But yeah, I think that would just be my biggest issue with you is that, well, you're like, I understand, like, and not everybody has to have like a complete understanding of political philosophy and a grounding in everything, but for somebody who does like to pick fun at ANCAP so much, I would hope that you would be able to justify these things.
Yeah, this is the thing. I don't know who you are, so like I don't understand that this guy picks at ANCAPs all the time. It's like,
I troll around on the Volunteerist Haven server and say controversial things.
He says the N-word all the time.
Okay, that is not an example of the controversial things I say. Like for example, for a while my username was Udal Realist.
Ulies and Udals.
Yeah, Udal is in YouTube. Yeah, exactly. As in like, oh yeah, Udals are quantifiable. You can just count them. It's that easy. Yeah, just count them. Just 1, 2, just like you'd count sheep. Just count the Udals. It's not that hard. So like, yeah, I poke fun at the ANCAPs a lot. I guess that's the context.
And I'm like 90% messing right now. Like, I don't care. I'm not even really putting like much thought into this. I just it had to be done. You've been your reign of terror. Your reign of terror has gone on too long, Pam.
No. I'm not gonna stop giving shit to ANCAPs. Although I might be forced to actually try to back up my claims.
Just went 25 minutes of you rambling around saying nothing but I prefer it, in the same way a kid says he prefers his lollipop today than to tomorrow, but you didn't give any rational reason for this fun. And you go around the internet pushing on ANCAP. Yeah, that's not great.
I can't think of a way better than saying I want, right? I can't think of. I feel like saying. I feel like that's the only way you can justify talking about morality is, hey, I want this, you should want it too, right? If you talk, I don't think it can be like.
I think everybody who is very, very normie is a moral subjectivist. And then when you start to get introduced to the problems of moral subjectivism, you realize that it's really an untenable position. It doesn't necessarily mean you know how to come to a moral realist conclusion. Like right now, I still haven't read books on moral realism, so I'm not aware of how to come to a moral realism conclusion. But I had come to the conclusion that there must be a way to conclude that morals are real. So I'm going to seek out that conclusion. I don't know it, but I can still know that there is a conclusion without knowing what that conclusion is, because I can know that there are just like blatant problems to moral subjectivism and moral anti-realism. And like to me this concept seems untenable if the because the concept of good in and of itself implies that there is something that is non-subject dependent.
No,
So
because
I
we
will.
created the word good, right? If it's the illusion of being non-subject dependent, then we created yeah, the word presupposes the idea of it not being subject dependent. But,
Words are concepts, though. If we have a concept of what is good and bad,
right, but if the concept doesn't actually exist, though,
you can't.
Well, that's the thing, is it? What does the word good mean? That's like a massive part of the debate, is what does the word good mean? So AJ Iyer, the emotivist, would say that when I say this is good, what I'm saying is I have an emotional disposition to liking that thing, right?
Yeah,
so
that's what
the
I'm
only,
saying.
yeah, right. So in that case, there are arguments against that. So say for example, when you you can show like tables, like linguistic tables of people making statements, and I can't remember what the exact critique is, but I read it in Hume's work. It's like if you hold the position of emotivism, then linguistically there's no evidence for that, because linguistically it just wouldn't work. So when I make statements like oh no, wait. I'd probably have to find it. I'd probably yeah, I fucking hate it. I'd probably have to find some examples. I can find it in Hume's book here, but as fast as I can.
Do you have his book on ethical intuitionism?
Yeah, I got it from the uni library, so I've got it.
Nice.
But I don't know where it is in the book.
Sounds good. Ethical intuitionism. I like it.
No, it's
like,
Michael Hume's book.
Because like I feel like I don't know. I guess I'm kind of where you are, Zane, in that I don't. I feel like there might be an answer of what's best, or at least I clearly act as if I know there is something that's best, right? Clearly, I think my moral system is superior to everyone's. If I didn't think that, I wouldn't have it, right? I think that goes for literally every single person ever. Probably views their own moral system as superior. I just don't know if there is a way to approach an actual answer to that question.
But here's the problem, Pan. Because of, and you're very, very, very much so right. You wouldn't have it if you didn't think it was better than anything else, right? But here's the problem. There's no reason for anybody else to also hold your position, because they also think theirs is better than everybody else's.
Well, everyone alters their own system, right?
But what I'm saying is, if you're trying to convince somebody that yours is better, this is inherently, you're appealing somehow. Even if you haven't realized it, you've come to a moral conclusion. You've looked to a higher, whether like the existence of good. Because of you trying, you being able to and trying to convince somebody that this is good. This is an appeal to something higher than just my subjective interpretation.
Well, I feel like it is and it isn't at the same time, because yeah, I'm always appealing based on something, but what I'm appealing on is always going to be arbitrary, right? I feel like it's always good. Like when I talk to someone who, big government, and I espouse, principles that, are relatively arbitrary.
And I think
freedom and justice,
I think that is why you're wrong, because I don't think these are arbitrary concepts. I think they can be founded in something concrete.
Yeah, but like what though? Like, I mean, I know you don't. It's not. I'm not trying to obviously you said you don't know yet. That's not something wrong. Like obviously, but why do you think they can be grounded in something? I'm not sure. I know
because I think that, for example, if we take something like the non-initiation of force or the non-aggression principle, I think we can take a general if people really do have intuitive morals, right, and that they generally have a concept of what is right and wrong, or if we take the Aristotelian look and outlook, in that people, they see how other people are acting in their lives, and they can from that determine what is good and bad and try and act act according to that, right? If we do have like this intuitionism, most people come to the conclusion that peaceful interactions are better than violent ones. And most people come to this conclusion, and because of the existence of this conclusion that it comes to, it makes me think, and whether I find this concept or not, that there is a concept that we are almost, I guess you could say, wired to operate according. Now, people break this, obviously, but generally, if you go up and punch somebody, like a child is going to start crying.
What a bitch.
If you like, or people around you are gonna be like, unless you were egged on, like that guy was a dick. Like this is like a general concept of non-aggression. And if you can get people onto this concept, like initiating force is bad. People ought not to initiate force against each other. Every initiation of force is harming somebody else at your benefit. And we can use like some form of like I said, I haven't come to the actual like grounded principle that I believe that this comes from, but I don't think this is arbitrary. I think this is something that people realize. It's just they don't realize it completely.
I think I know where it comes from. It comes from evolutionary pressures. Groups that didn't kill each other survived and passed on their genes better than groups who all they did was kill each other, right? I think that is kind of arbitrary, unless we want to say that Udals is, group survival. And I feel like, yes, everyone has an intuition of that, but that's because the people who didn't have that intuition died off because they were too busy killing each other. And the only people that are left are the people who think, yeah, hey, maybe we shouldn't kill each other. I don't think that that's
so you're not this doesn't mean because what you're saying here is you're trying to pose it like a societal norm, but what I'm saying is this is something beyond norms. This is something beyond just like, oh, like we live in a society that acts a certain way and then people conform to that society. I'm saying that I believe like children and things like this intuitively see these things.
Yes.
This isn't like a norm. This is
I
something
agree.
that is within their nature.
I agree. It is a norm, but I think
No, I'm saying it's not a norm. I'm saying it's not.
No, sorry. I misspoke. I meant I agree that it's not a norm.
Okay.
Right.
Then you're
if
you believe that this hardware thing comes through evolution, that still doesn't change anything. Even if it comes through evolution, if it comes from God, if it comes from nature, it doesn't matter. It matters that it exists.
Well, right, but if it comes from evolution, then the only reason that it exists is because it increased group survival method, right? Which means that my morality, my intuition,
That's
my
not no.
intuitive morality
Hold on. This
based
is completely
solely on
abductive. This is
maximizing.
completely abductive. You're saying that the morality arose through evolution, so therefore it had to arise from like utility. Like this is completely abductive. Like this could have been those. It could have been just the people who had the best morals survived.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying
Sure.
is your
I mean,
concept of like
I don't
trying to
think I can
locate.
prove. I can't prove it.
Trying to
I
locate
can't.
where it comes through, like through some sort of evolutionary path, doesn't matter. I don't care. What I'm saying is it exists.
But I think it only exists because of. If I think it only exists because of our biology, then I shouldn't that, and not because like I agree that it's not provable. Like I can't prove to you that my system, or that my theory about why morality evolved is better than yours. You could be right that morality is objective, and the reason that they had a better survival is because they closely adhered to morality. Now, I'm a little bit suspicious. I think that evolution probably has to do with group survival and like reproduction of type of stuff. So that's what I think probably created it. And I don't think that just because we evolved to do something, I don't think that's an inherently good way of.
Tenable doesn't mean I need to necessarily be able to defend moral realism.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree that but I feel like
the burden of proof is on him, isn't it? So whenever we're talking like linguistically, we always we ascribe meanings to words, right? So it's like whenever we use any word, we use good in a very similar way. So when I describe hope or when I describe some other thing that I'm feeling, like we say that thing exists, right? Like something called hopefulness does exist, independent of something else, right? So when it comes to explaining why humans use the word good, you need to, if you don't think that word exists, you need to come up with an account of why we use that word.
But I do think it exists, right? Like,
Wait, the property of good.
at least I perceive it, right? Well, I perceive people as better or worse than other people, right? I perceive
Right. So
people as good.
right. So this is
like,
again,
I
this
feel
is
like
a concept.
everyone.
that
I agree that I have this concept, right? The concept of good. You know, I think that everyone has the concept of good. I don't think that I think the concept might be a little bit, I guess, misleading in that it's not coming from some objective truth, but rather just from what has historically worked well. You know, in terms of like.
I've just looked up the figures, by the way. They're quite astounding. 56% of professional philosophers, are a moral realist. I didn't expect that. I thought most would be moral anti-realists.
Yeah, me too. Excuse me.
Wait, so that means it's right.
So
it's right. Objective.
Yeah, according to the logical positivists.
But in general, what I'm saying is you said that good, you give an expressive explanation. So when I say good, I just mean when I say the word good, I mean I like this, right? That's what you substitute the word.
Well,
good
I mean,
for.
I think that's. I don't think you can give more than that.
Right. Okay. Well, that's okay then. So why do you do that with good, but not a word like hope?
What do you mean? Why I don't do it with hope? What do you mean?
Yeah. So when I say I hope that something is the case, do you believe the word hope has meaning, like in terms of hope itself, right? So what is hope?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I experience hope. Like.
So am I expressing an emotion there as well when I say I hope something is the case?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're communicating that you have an emotion, right?
Okay. So what if I say Ben is at the football stadium?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? If I say Ben is at the stadium, does that involve any emotion?
Not particularly. Just that he's at a football stadium. I mean, I agree that I agree that there feels to be a difference between, you know, normative.
I'm not trying to attack you, by the way. I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. Because I don't really know what I think either.
No, that's I can see that you don't know it, so I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just like, oh, what do you think? I'm just trying to get you to think. That's all.
Yeah, no, don't worry. I understand. And I don't even if you
The,
are
the
attacking,
whole
I
the
don't
whole
care.
subject of morals is weird because also they're like a lot of people group them together, but morals and ethics are technically different, which is interesting as well. Yeah.
How are they
there is
different?
a distinction.
Maybe that's
From what I gather from like morals is about what is like I guess right and wrong, whereas ethics is a code to live by in order to be closer with like the like seeking like some form of ultimate good. Like I see ethics as more of a like I guess you could say I see ethics as a principle and morals as the rules.
Okay. Ethics is the principles and morals as the rules. Okay.
I don't know if that's a great definition or explanation because I haven't done a deep dive into the distinction between the two, but there is a distinction to be made.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting, regardless of whether or not that's the distinction philosophers made.
Right, because so so the way I see it, for example, like if I come to if I take a virtue ethicist position, the reason I think things are right and wrong, the reason I think things are moral or immoral is due to the ethical principle that I'm operating from. Like so like it's like a lens through which you perceive things. I try and do things that are virtuous. You try and do things that are util maximizing, and the Kantians just try and do things.
Well, I mean, but I feel like, you know, I feel like our concept of virtuousness is not that different, right? Like, I'd say that I'm not active. Everything I do isn't, you know, I'm not consciously thinking, oh my God, I need to maximize the utils, right? It's not like utilitarians are like hyper focused when they make decisions on the utils. They you know, view things as virtuous, you know, intuitionally because of what they think, right? Just like the same as I guess.
But
How
what
would
I've been
you determine
trying
what
to tell
something
you
is
this
virtuous?
whole
How do you
what I'm
determine
trying
what is virtuous?
Yeah, so I mean, like Aristotle talks about, essentially, again, gets back to, you see how men act and others. It's about determining that there is an excess and a deficiency of vices, and you try and fall somewhere in the middle. And if I do something, and we can use reflection, and I can say, that wasn't the best decision in that scenario, and you can act differently the next time you're in a similar situation. And it's a balancing act. But again, what the difference between utilitarianism and virtue ethics, the main difference is the ultimate end, what it is that you're trying to achieve. I see. I explained this last time, and I know you view eudaimonia and like pleasure to be this essentially like the same thing.
Not essentially like the same, but like compatible, I guess. Not
well, also, virtue is all about I'm acting virtuously. I don't really. It's not that I care necessarily about how my actions impact other people. It's about whether my actions are virtuous or not. Because yeah, I mean, if I act in a certain way that's not util maximize, I would say that so like act utilitarian, so a non-rule utilitarian would say that it would be, kill the person and harvest his organs to save 5 people. But I would deem murder or killing as, well, the initiatory killing, meaning it's non-retaliatory. I'm not going to use the word murder because murder is definitionally legal, is a legal term. So I'm going to say so I deem initiatory killing to be something that can never be virtuous.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. I'm sorry. I've got to say this because of Wait, the philosophers actually left there, isn't it? Oh, never mind. There was some of the idealists left. Never mind. Continue conversation.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I'm looking at this quiz, which is like they take all the philosophers in the world and they quiz them on like what their opinions are. And external world, idealism, skepticism, or non-skeptical realism. And non-skeptical realism got 80%, and idealism got 4.3%.
Idealism is
got
really
4.8%, and other got 9. Like that, 80% are non-skeptical realists. I cannot believe that for a minute.
Yeah, idealism is not.
Why not be a skeptic?
Like literally, most people are most of them are compatibilists. 72% are atheists, 14% are theists. I think this is really interesting. You guys won't get.
Can you send me this?
No, it is interesting.
Yeah, sure.
So no, we all agree.
I'll put it in. No, it is interesting. I can't. Oh wait.
That I know idealism is niche, but it seems like
I'll start from the top. A priori knowledge, yes or no? Most people, so 70% say yes, 18.4% say no, 10% or other. This one got me. Abstract objects. Platonism, nominalism. So Platonism is the idea that you probably
forms.
I know. Even I know Platonism.
But not nominalism is the idea that there's no such thing as universals, right? So when it comes to abstract, so when I say something like a humanness, right? Humanness is a universal, that like everything. Yeah, it's like, So do they deny universals? That's nominalism. Deny universals. That's 40% Platonism, 30 or basically 40% for nominalism and 23% for other, which blows my mind. Aesthetic value, objective or subjective, 40% objective, 35% subjective, and the rest is other. Analytic synthetic distinction, 65% say yes, 27% say no, which is obviously good. Internalism and externalism, 42% say externalism, 30% say other, and 26% say internalism. A lot of people dispute that there exists a difference. We've already went over the realism and idealism one. I can't believe only 5% of philosophers are idealists. That's crazy. This one's good. Free will, so compatibilism, libertarianism, or no free will. Libertarianism is just no word for free will. Compatibilism was 60%, other 15%, libertarian free will 14%, and then no free will 12%.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I consider myself more of a compatibilist.
Well, I get it's mainly how a lot of people like how you define things. So like Mises said that Mises was a hard determinist, but he said that he defined free will as acting in accordance with intention, right? So a lot of people just define it.
Was he like, because when I was reading
No,
theory
he-
and
he-
history,
he-
when I was
he's a-
reading
he's a
theory and history, when he
determinist.
talks, yeah, I know he's a determinist, but when I was reading theory and history, he goes through a part on determinism and essentially said like there are parts that the determinists are right about, and there are parts that the free will guys are right about, but essentially things do have causal relations, but we still act within our volition, which seems like compatibilism. Even if he called himself a determinist, to me it would seem he's a compatibilist.
He says very clearly at points that there is nothing which doesn't like come from some other cause, right? So what he says is basically there are views that compatibilists tend to hold that they are wrong about, but not. Sorry, there are views that determinists tend to hold, but independent of determinism itself, which are wrong, right? So so determinists tend to be hardcore materialists, and they tend to be panphysicalists. So when he says determinists tend to make issues, he means that determinism tends to lead people towards like logical positivism. And
Like
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And
and
he's
like there's direct material causes for all relations.
Yeah, exactly. So he's saying that they tend to go in the wrong direction because people usually go in the direction that he tends to fight.
Well, I mean that's exactly what Marx did. You know, he was with his dialectical materialism.
We've got some more good ones, by the way. We've got some more good ones. I'm gonna skip one here because you understand it. Empiricism or rationalism. Big one. Other, 37%. So the biggest one was other. So some people have too complex an opinion. Empiricism was 35%, and then rationalism 27%. So it's pretty. Most of the other, I think, would filter into some sort of
some sort of
well, I would say some sort of rationalist.
Yeah, I would say like I don't know, like to me empiricism. Oh well, other could be skepticism as well.
Yeah,
a lot of people, but like empiricism seems so because the logical conclusion to empiricism is skepticism. So it seemed like I just feel like even if,
I agree.
Right. So laws of nature, human or non-human. No, but do you guys know what that means? What does it say that?
I mean, what did you say it means?
Mental content, internalism. We're not going to.
Has anyone read Gödel? I know Sam's read some Gödel.
I know that Gödel's incompleteness theorem. I know the significance of Gödel's incompleteness theorem for analytical philosophy. So I know the significance of it for. Who, by the way, do people here think arithmetic is analytic? Does anyone here think that?
Go ahead and say what you got to say.
No,
somebody, but nobody in here right now. Actually, that's a lie. Pan does.
Right. Okay. Arithmetic. Do you think arithmetic is analytic a priori? Do you think arithmetic is?
No,
right. That's okay.
You think it's synthetic a priori?
Because I heard that people thought that it was analytic, and I was like, wow, you're stuck in the 1910s, mate.
Yeah, no. I am very intimately familiar with Gödel. I had an entire class on his incompleteness theorem.
Yeah, so most people argue that like Gödel's first incompleteness theorem basically proves that arithmetic is synthetic a priori. As one of the things. So you have the kind of Logicus project of Frege and Bertrand Russell, and then Gödel comes along and basically blows it the fuck up, and he basically shows how arithmetic must be synthetic a priori. Some even argue that the second incompleteness theorem shows that as well as the first one.
Yeah. Also, like, Tarski, his not incompleteness theorem. What's it called?
Sam, are you a theist?
No.
Tarski's. Yeah. Sorry. Tarski's undefinability theorem, in and of itself,
that sounds cool.
shows that.
Are you familiar with
we think
Gödel's
about
argument
logic
for God?
No, I'm not familiar with Gödel. I think it was one of those things I heard, and I was like, I just off the cuff thought, oh, that's interesting. I never looked into it.
I'll send it to you.
It's naturalism or non-naturalism. So 50% are naturalists, 45% are non-naturalists, and then 20% are other. Naturalism can mean a lot of things depending on what sort of naturalism you're talking about. But most people would just say that it means, like, do you believe everything is physical? Yes, spatio-temporal entities must be identical or metaphysically constituted by physical entities. But then we have physicalism and non-physicalism, which is basically just material monism, so everything's made of something like small. So 56% of physicalists, so our idealist friend would be mad. Non-physicalism 27%, and then other 16%. This is a big one. Cognitivism and non-cognitivism. So you know how earlier when I was talking to like when I was talking about ethics and meta-ethics with relation to language, that this is what it's about. So if you don't understand it thoroughly, just keep this in mind. So 65% are cognitivists, which is massive. Other 17%, and then 17% is also for non-cognitivism. More internal. Yeah, we don't need to do that.
Yeah,
So,
he didn't mean Gödel. He said he meant Gödel, Escher, Bach, and Eternal
Yeah,
Golden Braid.
that's a book. So that's a book written by some guy that came out of nowhere, and it's basically about it's about loads of things. So it's about like I give it to my computer science friend. A lot of it's about systems and modes and like programs and like mathematics, like the nature of mathematics, and like it's got so much stuff in that it's really hard to describe in like a few sentences. But yeah, that I've read
What's
that
it
book.
called?
I've read that.
Tell me, because I'm
Just
It's called
literally just what he
Gödel,
said.
Escher, Bach. Like
How do you
Gödel,
spell Escher?
Godel,
I know how to spell
Escher, and then Bach, like the
Okay.
composer.
No, yeah, it's got like music in it, but it's got like loads of problems in it, and you have to figure them out. No, it's there's a lot. That's a really cool book.
Because like I love math.
Well, Rita, do you have
Kind of
do you
math head.
do you have a philosophy of mathematics?
Vaguely.
What's your philosophy of mathematics?
Like it's not formal. I believe that it's human created.
Well, that's cool. I agree with that.
You know, I believe that it doesn't exist on its own.
So you're not a Platonist. You're not a mathematical Platonist. Yeah. So a lot of mathematicians end up being mathematical Platonists, which is the idea that in some like ceaseless universe somewhere, our brains can
there's
get
no
there.
circle.
I can't stomach being a mathematical. A lot of people in mathematics and like set theory tend to be mathematical Platonists. It's like there are certain there are certain kinds of mathematics that are like it's hard to do it and not be a mathematical. No, it's a lot because people get really emotional about it. They're like, oh, we're discovering mathematics in this universe, and we're like, you know, they're like really into it. But there's some more interesting stuff there. But yeah, a lot of people think of it. A lot of people think of you have the logicists, right? So you have the logicist idea of mathematics is fundamentally composed of logic. So that's what Frege and Bertrand Russell did, and then Bertrand Russell blew it up. You have the formalists, so you have the idea that it's just symbols on a page, and then we're just doing things with symbols. You have the idea that it's from our intuition, so it comes from it comes from the mind in one way. You have the constructivist view. You have the Wittgensteinian view of like mathematics isn't like right or wrong, but we use it as a tool. It's like human beings have created mathematics. We've evolved to think in mathematical ways because it has served our survival, and then because of that, that's why we have mathematics.
Yeah, that sounds most like what I am.
Yeah, it's but you do have people arguing for mathematical Platonism.
I just think that's dumb.
No, it's very prima facie dumb. You have to justify. You have to give me a positive reason for believing that this thing exists, these abstract objects somewhere, and then you've got to show us how we can somehow our brains can make connections with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like there's no circle in nature. I never saw a perfect circle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a perfect response. It's a perfect response. There is no circle in nature. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, we just abstracted it from the idea that, hey, what if every point was equal distant from this one point? What if you, had a bunch of points that were equal distant from this one point? That's not something we ever saw.
Our reality is molded by our mind. Yeah, good job.
Exactly.
It's there are also empiricist accounts of the philosophy of mathematics. So you're someone like Quine. So Quine, who's like everyone's enemy. Like so many people hate Quine, or I fucking despise Quine. He came up with it. He's a nominalist. He's a ontological naturalist. He denies the analytic syntactic distinction. He's like everything horrible. And his theory of mathematics is basically through the natural sciences. We use numbers in the natural sciences, so just in scientific experiments, and it's through the natural sciences that we discover numbers. And it's just not a good argument.
It's interesting.
You would have, in order to explain mathematics, you would have to show that every single thing we've ever mathematically came up with came about via a natural science experiment, or like something in the real world that we experimented on, which is obviously absurd. Like who's ever done experiments on set theory?
Well, actually,
I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting idea. I mean, Because I mean, it does make you wonder, like, you know, if we invented math, how did we invent it?
Well, you would give it. I would give an evolutionary argument for it.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would
that's
as
how.
well.
But Kantian impositionism and evolutionary arguments usually work very well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of evolutionary arguments as well.
They can be very. So one of the things that you could do when it comes to ethical debates from a anti-realist perspective, and this is Ludwig von Mises' argument, is that you could say something like the concept of what is moral, right? So our concept of what is good evolved as a utilitarian precept, is what he would say. So human societies who believe in something good, who express something as being good and something as being bad, basically just function better and survive, right?
Yeah,
so you would
we had that discussion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you can do that. You can give an evolutionary argument for why this concept of good exists, right?
Yeah, but isn't that still arbitrary though? I feel like it's still arbitrary.
Well, it's an anti-realist position, right? So it's an explanation of why we talk about good and like what good could mean, right? Except independent of there being an objective goodness, like something like
it's no justification for a future. You know, it's like I think it's definitely correct that, you know, we evolved the morality system that helped us, you know, be more likely to survive. But that doesn't mean inherently that that's what morality is.
No, it's the evolutionary arguments are probably the most persuasive for anti-realist arguments. I would say. I think that most evolutionary arguments for me are usually very persuasive. It's like
a subjective realist argument.
Subjective? No, that's you're so. If you're a moral anti-realist, moral anti-realism so subjectivism is a type of anti-realism, right? So there are other types of anti-realism. So you can just be a nihilist. So rather than believing that something is good or bad in virtue of my opinion, there is no such thing as good or bad. So any claim to something being good or bad is automatically wrong. So you would say that all moral claims are incorrect. So you can distinguish all moral claims are incorrect from all moral claims are correct, all moral claims are correct, are subject dependent, right? So they're two different non-realist positions.
Can I say that?
I've been trying to hold out as long as possible. My stomach is killing me, and I've had a tremendous headache for hours now. So I'm gonna.
No, you're not. Wait a second. We're gonna finish a few more of these things, right? So just some good ones, right? Normative ethics. I've been waiting for you to get back for this. Deontology, consequentialism, or virtue ethics. Other is 32%. Deontology, 25%. Consequentialism, 23%, and 18% virtue ethics. Let me see if there's any more. Politics, communitarian, egalitarian, or libertarian. So it's like libertarian, liberal, or communist. So politics, 41% other, right? Egalitarianism was 34%, communitarian 14%, and 10% were libertarians, which I love because I wasn't expecting that 10%. Every 1 in 10 philosophers you meet is a libertarian. That's crazy.
That's not surprising at all.
To me, that's a massive thing. I never meet libertarians. I never meet. So the idea that 1 in 10 people who have got a PhD in philosophy are libertarians blows my mind. Scientific realism or anti-realism, 75% realist.
Imagine being an egalitarian or a communitarian, though. Right.
What's an egalitarian? What's wrong with egalitarian?
Well, I wouldn't say there's necessarily like if the conclusions of your individualism leads to a more egalitarian society, then you know that so be it. But I don't think egalitarianism is something that should be strived for. I think the only thing that exists is the individual, and so the individual should try and act I think they should act according to virtue, right? But yeah, so I don't think there's obviously like if helping your community brings you happiness or you can deem that virtuous, then sure. But I don't think that's necessarily like categorically something that should be strived for. Because I think ultimately it should be like whatever it is, like, and it should only be strived for if that benefits you in some way.
Yeah, I'm also kind of egoist.
You should definitely tell me how you're getting along with that humor book, by the way. It's good that you're reading humor. It's good that you're reading humor. It seems great. I love humor.
Yeah.
I love all those esoteric stuff. So I like his epistemology, and I like his internalism, and I like all of his other like stuff. So if you like him, that's gonna be good. Like, you can go now if you want. If you got a headache and stuff. But happy birthday. and have a good day.
Happy
Oh, thank you so much.
birthday.
Yeah. Have yourself a good day.
All right,
I didn't
peace
get
out.
you anything, but
No, you're. All right, see you guys later.
Everyone's out. I'm not in the stream now. I'm at 4 hours now.
Yeah. You should what's the name of the other guy?
Samuel?
The one we've been talking. Oh yeah, Sam. Oh, did he leave already?
Why?
Okay. Never mind.
We were asking.
I tell him he should come to the
He's
Discord.
in the Discord already.
Oh.
He's Ostro School Swift.
Interesting.
Alright, well, if you're still watching, thank you for being here for Zane's birthday live stream. Hope you enjoyed and goodbye.